and welcome to the Howell Township Council regular and executive meeting of April 18th, 2023.
This meeting is being held in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice has been provided by transmitting the notice of this meeting to the Asbury Park Press and the Star Ledger, by posting it on the bulletin board reserved for such announcements in the Township Municipal Building, and by filing it with the municipal clerk on January 6, 2023. The agenda is complete to the extent known, and formal action will be taken. Begin with a roll call. Councilwoman Fisher? Councilman Gager?
Here.
Councilman Nadell? Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Here.
And Mayor Berger is absent this evening.
Thank you. Would you read the executive session resolution, please?
Resolution R23-173 authorizes the governing body to enter into executive session and to discuss the following items: attorney-client privilege and personnel matters.
Thank you. May I have a motion to go into executive?
Motion to go to executive?
Second.
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Gager?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes. Thank you.
you.
We stand in recess. Good evening. We are going to reopen our meeting. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Fisher?
Here.
Councilman Gager?
Here.
Councilman Nadell?
Here.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Here.
And Mayor Berger is absent this evening.
Thank you. I'd like to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance of the flag, and in a moment of silence, please remember today is Holocaust Remembrance Day, and have that in your prayers as well as other needs of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. This evening we have proclamations. The first one I'd like Councilman Gager to read. It's our proclamation on child abuse.
Good evening, everyone. Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month, April 2023. Whereas there are about 2 million youth aged 17 and under living in New Jersey, it is estimated that 1 in 100 children experiences abuse, and whereas childhood maltreatment and abuse are part of adverse childhood experience and create long-term trauma that has lifelong impacts, and whereas child abuse is a significant social problem that creates significant effects for entire families, communities, and society as a whole, and whereas our children are our most valuable resources and will shape the future of Howell Township, and whereas effective child abuse prevention activities succeed because of the meaningful connections and partnerships created between child welfare, educational, health, community, and faith-based organizations, businesses, and law enforcement agencies, and whereas we must work together as a community to increase awareness of child abuse and contribute to its prevention while promoting the social and emotional well-being of children and families in a safe environment. Now, therefore, I, Fred Gager, Councilman, do hereby recognize, on behalf of the governing body, April 2023 as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month in Howell Township, and urge our residents to become involved in efforts aimed at strengthening families and communities and preventing our children from being abused and neglected.
Thank you. Certainly a most serious thing in the community and our country. We also have a proclamation tonight on Arbor Day, and we'd like Lisa Dow to be able to read that. She's running a little late, so we will...
Excuse me, actually, she has
Oh,
arrived.
she's here. Great, thank you. Sorry, Lisa.
National Arbor Day, April 28, 2023. Whereas the very first Arbor Day took place on April 10, 1872 in Nebraska, with approximately 1 million trees planted that day. In 1949, the New Jersey legislature set aside the last Friday of April as Arbor Day to promote the planting of trees and to encourage the protection of our forests from fires and pests that destroy the beauty and usefulness of our woodlands. And whereas half of New Jersey's total land area is forested or tree covered, and whereas trees play an important role in the ecosystem in which we live, and trees reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil caused by wind and water, clean the air we breathe and the water we drink, produce oxygen, provide habitat for birds and wildlife, and reduce heating and cooling costs by moderating temperature. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper for fine literature, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees provide increased property value, enhanced economic viability, and pleasing aesthetic qualities along streets and properties in municipalities. And whereas tree planting in yards and farms, in schoolyards and parks, and along streets and highways creates an enduring heritage for generations that follow. Therefore, be it resolved that Mayor Teresa Berger, Mayor of the Township of Howell, on behalf of the Township Council, do hereby encourage observance of Arbor Day, April 28, 2023, in Howell Township, and urge all citizens to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands, to support our township's urban forestry. Further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden hearts and promote the well-being of present and future generations.
Thank you, Lisa, and no more fitting that you should be reading that proclamation. We thank you. Next order of business, I need a motion for the acceptance of the minutes from April 4th for regular and executive session.
Motion to accept minutes.
Second?
Second?
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Gager?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next, we have reports of the township officials. Can we start with Mr. Clark, our manager?
Sure, so I'll actually pass it off to Mr. Howard for right now, and then I'll circle up after.
Thank you.
We received word earlier in the week that Howell Township was awarded $74,000 grant for improvements to Deerwood Park. We had submitted an application for a larger project to remove one of the hockey rinks, replace it with basketball courts, and to add pickleball courts. So now that we are aware of what amount we've gotten in the grant, we're going to start design in earnest and hopefully have some construction going on there to improve the facilities in the near future. We also have on, one of the ordinances tonight is for lights at Soldier Memorial Park. So I just wanted to give an update to that. We've been working with our engineering department to finalize the plans. We're hoping that if the ordinance passes tonight, sometime in the fall to have lights installed. We're working with the leagues around their schedules, and we hope to have lights out there soon. So that'll be a big improvement for Soldier Memorial. Also, there was an update from our OEM director on the 15 Mall Road site. Earlier this week, the EPA started work in earnest to start to classify the drums on site, move them around, start to sample, and to identify some of the chemicals. So they are fully out on site. If you go past, they're it's unknown hazards at this time still, so they're dressed to the highest level of protective equipment. But they're starting with work, they're moving things around, everything's under control. They have air monitoring stations on site as well as off site. No concerns have been raised as they've been doing the work. With the EPA and their professionalism, we don't expect any immediate hazard to come up. They have started to move some of the drums out of potentially hazardous areas or areas that aren't suitable for them, moving them inside the building. So they're removing risks, and they're starting to classify what's out there. So in the next few weeks, hopefully we'll have some information on the chemicals, and we can pass that along to the public.
And that is on our official website as well.
Yes, that update went out yesterday.
That update, yes.
Yep. We're also finalizing the draft of the Comprehensive Farmland Preservation Plan with our consultant and the Farmers Advisory Committee and the Preservation Task Force. In the next few weeks, we're going to finalize that draft and send it to the Planning Board for consideration and hopeful adoption. So stay tuned. There will be a public hearing at the Planning Board for that in the near future, in the next month or so. And that's what I have for today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who would like to go next?
Sure, I'll go. Take the glasses off. On Saturday, April 22nd, 2023, The Howell Township Police Department and Alliance are recognizing the DEA's National Drug Take-Back Day differently this year by encouraging community members to dispose of their unwanted medications in the anonymous 24/7 Project Medicine Drop Box permanently located at police headquarters at 300 Old Tavern Road in Howell. Take-Back Day is held nationwide 2 times each year in an effort to keep unwanted, unused, and expired prescriptions and over-the-counter medications out of the wrong hands, and in order to divert misuse and addiction. From 2019 to 2022, the Howell community has disposed of 2,316 pounds of unwanted medications. Upcoming events: on Saturday, April 22nd, we are hosting an Earth Day event at Echo Lake. There's going to be a seedling giveaway, an Earth Day expo that features vendors and presentations. We also finished installing a kayak launch at Echo Lake this past week. And very shortly, I think it's going to happen this week, we are planting a new Norway spruce on site to replace the tree that was broken during the storm. On Thursday, May 4th, there's going to be a Canvas and Cookies event, so watch for our Facebook page on that. Just very quickly, and then I know Deputy Mayor, you'll mention this more, but we have National Day of Prayer. Saturday, June 3rd, Hooked on Fishing, Not on Drugs, combined with Baxter's Fishing Derby. And July 27th, we're going to have Howell Night at the Blue Claws, so the registration is ongoing for Teen and Team Adventure. For DPW, the new windows at Echo Lake are complete. The walkways on the north side are 75% complete. And yep, the Norway spruce is scheduled for planting this Thursday or Friday. Hazardous trees, to date, DPW has removed 185 trees from the survey, filled 130 potholes. We are finalizing an agreement with New Jersey American Water that will be of interest to people in the Freewood Acres section. Our Must Connect ordinance required them to connect by this coming May. We should have an agreement in place to extend that another 2 years. So we will have more details as we finalize that agreement, and that is it.
Thank you.
No legal updates.
All right, thank you. All
May
right.
I?
Anything from the clerk's office?
Yes, thank you. On May 11th, 2023, at 11 a.m., there will be a plenary retail consumption license bid with a minimum bid of $250,000. All applicants are required to submit their 12-page application, certification of proof of compliance, and a certified check for $25,000 on or before April 26, 2023. Thank you.
Okay. That being all the official reports, we will move on to the hearing of the citizens. Madam Clerk, would you read the official notice on how this will be conducted?
Each person shall give their name and address to the clerk. The council should be addressed as a collective body and not as individual members. Each person shall have 1 turn to address the council, and comments shall not exceed a total of 5 minutes. Speakers shall be notified when their time has run, and no extensions shall be permitted.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to go into public session, please?
Motion to go public comment.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. First name on the list is Wayne Senator. Please come up. How can we help you?
Thank you, council members.
Your address, please?
Wayne Senatori, 245 Thoroughbred Drive, which is about the furthest north you can get in Howell. I'd like to address my concerns about the warehouses that are were approved in North Howell. And although I'm speaking about North Howell, I think a lot of these concerns apply to Howell as a whole. So for the people who are from not from North Howell tonight, I'd like to just summarize the current position, if I can, about what's going on in North Howell regarding warehouses. I moved to North Howell 23 years ago to get away from the hustle and bustle of the city life. I wanted my family to enjoy the peace and quiet of what, at that time, was the rural community that I moved into. The only noise that we heard back then were cows mooing and roosters crowing. Those noises are long gone and have since been replaced with cars zooming up and down the roads. In the last 20 years, North Howell has moved, in my opinion, from a rural community to what I now characterize as the suburbs. In the last 2 years, the Town Planning Board has approved 6 warehouses, all within 2 miles of each other in the northern section of Howell, known as Jerseyville. 2 approved for Howell Road, totaling 425,000 square feet, and 4 approved on Fairfield Road, totaling a little more or a little over 1 million square feet. Every applicant stated their warehouses will be operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the applicant's traffic experts all said their analysis indicated there will be minimal impact on all of the surrounding local roads. Any of us who drive up here know traffic at certain times of the day is already a problem. So their analysis seems a little illogical, since the data estimated an additional 2,500 or so tractor trailers and autos will be traveling our local roads on a daily basis. Beyond this, no one considered the traffic that will be coming from the Halls Mill Road warehouse, which is only a half a mile from the 2 Howell Road warehouses that are already approved. And also, that warehouse is within 2 miles of the 4 Fairfield Road warehouses. So if you take that into consideration, even though it's in Freehold, the traffic from that area, which is again in close proximity to everything else, would add an additional 350 vehicles daily. So that makes almost 3,000 additional vehicles traveling daily on our local roads, which currently have a hard time handling whatever current traffic we have now, and especially at certain times of the day. So I participated in the planning board Zoom meetings over the last year or so. What I observed was every resident who spoke had concerns about the warehouses and its effect that it would have on the neighborhood. And not one resident did I ever hear voice their acceptance or approval for any of those warehouses. Yet, their concerns fell on deaf ears. The planning board approved every application. My belief is unless you,
You have 1 minute remaining.
the township leader, changes ordinances, zonings, et cetera, will provide you more opportunities to be able to reject applications for warehousing. Jerseyville and Howell as a whole will soon move from suburbia to city living. If that happens, I can move back to the city I came from originally 23 years ago and and get a great big, large reduction in my property taxes. With that being said, I have a few questions for the council. 1, have we reached the saturation level yet in North Howell, or can we expect more of these monstrosities getting approved? And 2, what steps will the council be taking to ensure future construction projects of these types are more in line with the residents' concerns regarding the negative impact of the community, safety, environment, quality of life, and property values?
Thank you. Your time has ended.
Thank you, Mr. Senator. Okay, next person on the list. Please, let's make sure everyone can hear properly. Thank you. Next person is Kay. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped a line. Last name Murray? Asher Murray? Thank you. If you could just restate your name and address, please.
Asher Murray, 261 Fairfield Road.
Okay. Welcome.
Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight and for serving our town and council. I'm here today.
Can you,
Move it down.
the microphone just closer to your mouth would be good.
Don't hold on to it.
Just 1 second. We're going to take a look at it and make sure everything's in good order. Asher, give us a moment. Mr. Clark's coming.
Hello? Yeah, sure, of course.
Go ahead, Asher.
Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight and for serving our town and the council. I'm here today because I don't feel like you are representing my needs and the safety of this community. The people have elected you as council members to represent their concerns for the future of this town by appointing zoning members who will follow a town plan that makes sense. Instead, you've elected people on the zoning board who will squeeze more than 70 building projects in while we're meeting virtually when we could be meeting in person. But to appoint competent zoning board officials who will not keep us virtual and let everything be a fair vote without issues with the internet, possibly making the decisions to be unjust and inaccurate. Changing the zoning near residential areas matters to me because right near my house, within sight actually, is a very large farm that has been for sale for over a year. And it's a prime warehouse real estate. The zoning needs to change in some way so that, the zoning
Take
needs
your
to-
time.
Okay. The zoning needs to change in some way to make it so that our town does not become unsafe and industrialized, not just for my sake, but for everyone's sake. I am sure that I want what is best for the community, as I am sure you do as well. And these warehouses will do nothing but harm this community. My dad and I walk on Fairfield Road twice a week or more. If more tractor trailers and trucks are everywhere, breaking the speed limit and being unsafe in many ways, such as running lights, driving fast, and breaking the speed limit as I previously stated, then I cannot be safe while crossing the street and back to do my walks. The reason that truckers are so dangerous when working for warehouses is that they're generally paid on a load-by-load basis, incentivizing them to break the speed limit, sometimes be over 20 miles per hour, drive fast over hills and turns, and be dangerous in many other ways. Just to be clear, there will be over 2,500 trucks that come with these 6 warehouses, because each warehouse is supposed to have around 500 trucks 24/7. That's 2,500 trucks driving fast over the speed limit and being dangerous in so many ways. What I see when I think about these warehouses is them polluting our environment, pushing wildlife out of their homes, and people getting injured in accidents and school bus accidents as they navigate the narrow road with these tractor trailers. I have siblings, and I'm sure a lot of you have children. I see my siblings and other innocent children getting injured at bus stops on 45-mile-per-hour roads and on their buses because of the trucks coming to or from these warehouses. I think dozens of people getting injured or possibly dying in car crashes are more important than creating warehouses that will ruin our environment and have great potential to injure the innocent people of this community. We all want what is best for this community, and that will not be possible if thousands of truckers are driving on our narrow, non-shouldered roads that are not built for mass transport and are only built for a small amount of weight. There's even a new railroad passing along Fairfield and Howell Road that may not have been included in the initial traffic studies. The only thing that can come from these horrible warehouses is harm to our wildlife, environment, air, and most importantly, to the good people of this community. I'm here today because I do not want this community to have to risk their lives every time they drive. And if these warehouses are built, fatalities and injuries are not a matter of if, but when. Thank you.
Thank you, Asher. Thank you. I would like to say that a lot of the commentary that I see on this list is warehouses. Would you like to speak to anything at this point, or would you like to hear a couple more residents come up and then address a few issues?
We discussed it. We'll wait until the end after
Okay, very
public
good.
comment is closed to address anything.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And our next speaker is Ray Howell. Thank you. Please come up. My apologies.
It's okay. It's a difficult thing. you for allowing me to speak. I'll waste the time. So first of all, let me recognize.
May I have your address, please?
I live at 230 Thoroughbred Drive in Northern Howell. I'm a block house over from Wayne. And I too moved there 20 years ago to get away from the city, from New York, working in the city every day, so that I could walk around on the weekend to kind of down low. And now all of a sudden the city, the rural area that I live in, is going to become the city. But I picked up the paper yesterday, I'm reading the Daily News, and it says how big rigs plague city neighborhoods in New York. And it said wayward truckers wreak havoc in the middle of the night in all these cities in Queens and the Bronx. There are entire neighborhoods coming out at 2 and 3 in the morning to help truckers negotiate turns. Same problem, sound like problems we're gonna have. If you leave your car parked out at night, you're liable to come back and find it dented. There are so many other problems besides pollution and noise, and windowsills that are left, if left open, soot is everywhere. Truckers ignore rules that are given to them, and they veer off designated routes so that they can make deliveries as quickly as possible. The NYPD has issued 16,000 parking summons to 18-wheelers in this past year alone, up 96%. But I came here to talk about safety for our kids, because when I came here, our kids rode their bicycles, they rode skateboards, they did everything. I live a block from the baseball fields. So when those trucks come in on those baseball fields, on the street where those baseball fields are, and you know how excited a kid is after winning a baseball game, somebody's going to get hurt. And I'm not sure if you are going to make that phone call to that parent to say their kid is dead. I wouldn't want to make that phone call. And I certainly wouldn't want to receive that phone call. Secondly, I think about all the problems that our kids have today just trying to get to school. You know, you have buses that don't run, but you don't have drivers anymore. So who's going to drive buses when they're sitting behind 18-wheelers trying to get in and out of Fairfield and other places where you've got these massive warehouses coming? I ask you not to destroy what we have. You have one building now that's vacant, 300,000 square feet, it's empty, but at some point you're going to have $1 million homes empty too. And that's revenue that you can count on. That's not revenue yet. But more importantly, what about our kids? I'm a parent, and I have a 5-year-old grandson now, and he's playing baseball and soccer. I don't want to get that phone call because we were selfish to think only about revenue. I ask you, who's going to pay for that funeral when you get that phone call? And last but not least, who's going to pay for that lawsuit? And that lawsuit is going to be greater than the revenue that you potentially can get from those warehouses. I rest my case. Don't you be the one to have to make that phone call to one of us.
Thank you for your concerns. Next resident to speak is Lori Robinson. Please come forward. State your name and address.
My name is Lori Robinson. I live at 53 Decide Court. My husband and I moved down to Howell 36 years ago with our kids from Bergen County. And I just have a lot of concerns about the warehouses. One is up already, and several more, we understand, have been approved. And I'm not sure there's any way to stop them at this point, the ones that have been approved, because I know our master plan allowed for them. But I have a lot of concerns that I just like to point out, and some of them have been mentioned already. The impact of heavy-duty trucks on our very narrow local roads. When you drive around, if you come up and drive around Fairfield and that area up there, they're just not, they're not built. It's not a road system that's built for huge tractor trailers, and the amount of traffic that will be coming from these warehouses. I'm concerned about the air quality, the noise pollution, the environment, and like the last gentleman just mentioned, the safety of our kids. The school buses use that road, and already the traffic is difficult because of all the residents that live around there and the school buses. I'm really concerned about the stormwater impact. Fairfield Road has already had flooding issues over the years, that a lot of times you see the safety cones up and signs that warn you that there's flooding after a heavy rain. And these huge warehouses and the associated parking lots are making for a lot more impervious land, and I feel like the stormwater is going to go somewhere, and I'm very concerned about if that's been addressed with the developers, who should be the ones that have to take care of that ahead of time. I know the master plan is a guide for Howell to create a vision of what we want Howell to be like in the future, and I understand that when that master plan, a lot of it was done, it was years ago, before warehouses were the size that they are being built now. I read a statistic that shows that from 2010 to 2020, the size of an average warehouse grew by almost 60%. And I think that's because with e-commerce, warehouses need to be bigger, and I understand they need to be close to where people live in order to accomplish what they need to accomplish. But I just hope that our council and our planning board is looking at, going forward, can we do something to prevent continued approvals of these huge warehouses that I really think don't fit well in our residential area? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, Greg Robinson, please come forward. Hello.
Hi, my name is Gregory Robinson, and I live at 53 Decide Court. And really, you know, the traffic is a concern, and you've heard from a lot of people so far about the traffic and the number of accidents on Fairfield and 33. We've had some fatalities there also. And the roads are not designed for heavy, large trucks. They're designed for local traffic. And it seems like we continue to approve these warehouses without concern for the reality of the roads, the infrastructure. And what I guess I get frustrated about at times is the council, you know, the perception is the council's kind of looking at either the master plan or rules and regulations and then approving various projects, but it would be somehow to step back and look at it from a resident point of view. You know, what are the resident needs? And the residents' needs are safe place to live, to bring up your kids, to have your kids go to school, and air pollution, noise pollution. And, you know, we keep approving these large, massive projects, but is that what really the residents want, and what the Howell is about? Howell's a residential family community. You know, we've got 3 schools or 2 schools down the end of Fairfield. The trucks, from what I've heard, are only going to be able to go north on Fairfield. Let's be realistic, they're not. They're going to look at their GPS, and if they have to, they're going to go south on Fairfield, which is where the schools are. You know, a lot of towns put in bike lanes for the recreational purposes. With all these warehouses and all this land, I don't see any bike lanes being put in. Again, it seems that there's not enough focus on the residents of Howell. And I would implore you to, you know, at some point in time, maybe step back and look at the bigger picture and how the residents of Howell, you know, can be accommodated with some of these projects as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next resident, please. Can you read this? Is it Diane Lindstrom? Please come forward. State your name and address, please, for the record. Thank you.
My name is Diane Lindstrom. I live at 39 Victory Road, but I've been in Howell since 1961. I'd like to thank you for having the meeting in person. The Zoom meetings are real hard to deal with. I wrote this up, but I think I'm just going to really be echoing what everybody else is saying. We're concerned about our quality of life. We're concerned about developers taking precedence over what the residents of Howell want and what they need. I've lived here for so long. I've seen so many changes, but the warehouses are scary. They're scary to all of us. I live on Victory. We're in the south end of Howell. Our warehouse isn't built yet. We're still in an approval stage, I would think. But there's a lot of things about Victory Road that I wonder if people know. We sat at a Zoom meeting and we listened to experts say, yeah, trucks could pass each other on an S-curve, and trucks could do this, and trucks will only go to 547. Until somebody raised a question that none of the site maps they were putting up showed the dangerous S-curve on Victory Road. One traffic expert assured us that 2 tractor-trailers, WG67s, could safely pass on that S-curve, when even in the winter, you can't see one truck or one vehicle coming towards another. The trees are that thick. We're really concerned about our property values. We don't want to see them plummet, which they're going to do if there's a warehouse on our road. We're concerned also about the liquefied natural gas tank that's on Route 547. I mentioned it to a few people. They didn't even know what I was talking about. If you don't know, they actually, this is where I have to read. It's a liquefied, they freeze, it's a process where they liquefy gas. The gas compresses, and they add more, and it compresses more. Now, I know that plant has been there forever, but there's been no industrialization, no heavy construction, nothing like that in this area. And I'm concerned about any safety buffers because nobody's mentioned them. Nobody's mentioned safety buffers around this LNG tank. And zoning, when I bought my property, my house, we understood it that we were grandfathered, but since then, zoning went to 6 acres per dwelling, simply because if something happens at that tank, you have to evacuate. And so that's another concern for us on Victory. We're a little country road, Every house has horses, goats, ducks, chickens, dogs, kids. Another concern. We have kids on our road. The buses, as someone mentioned, it's dangerous. One of our houses with a child in it is right on that S-curve. A bus stopping is going to have a truck going near that bus is going to have a hard time stopping. We have a current railroad. It runs every Tuesday, every Friday. The applicant has a driveway staked out about 20 feet from the railroad track. They're claiming, same as here, the trucks will only go down towards 547 to access Route 195. That's not going to happen. If they have to go north, they're going to put it in their GPS, they're going to go right down Victory, they're going to go right to Maxim Southern, and they're going to head to Route 9. When there's an accident on 547, all the traffic is detoured down Victory. There are times I actually have to go out in the middle of the road and stop traffic so we can pull out. Tractor trailers are not going to help. They're not going to help that at all.
1 minute remaining.
I would like to ask a question. I would like to know, why was Victory Road not rezoned? I saw some plans. There had to be maybe 30 areas that were rezoned, and I'd like to know why Victory is still an SED, when at one time it was an ARE 6. Even an SED 1 or 2 would be better than SED, because now we're looking at a 200,000 square foot warehouse that nobody wants. Nobody. Thank you for listening. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Next, Todd Cohen. Again, name and address, if we please.
Thomas J. Cohen, 612 3rd Avenue, Bradley Beach, New Jersey. I'm here again to give a historical context of Northern Fairfield Road and what transpired. So I'd like everyone to just close their eyes for one moment and think about that 363,000 square foot warehouse on Fairfield Road. And I'm going to read you what was approved in 2007 by the Zoning Board of Adjustment. 97 single-family active adult homes, 20,000 square feet of commercial on Fairfield Road, 42 affordable housing units, a combination of flats and lots to be donated to the Western Mammoth Habitat for Humanity. I've never, ever been to a meeting where there was so much joy in a room. Western Monmouth was very happy to get those lots. Everyone was together. 3 months later, Mr. Wong, the principal for Rock Solid Realty, calls me and says, TJ, we have our sewer approval to go down Fairfield Road to 524, just like MRSA told us we would. Great. First phone call I make is to Roddy Cunliffe at the Cabin, one of the most successful businesses in Howell Township. And I say, Roddy, you're going to get sewer. We're going to make sure you get sewer. Well, 10 days later, Mr. Wong calls me and says, TJ, the council is going to rescind my sewer approval on Fairfield Road. They want me to go out the back, through the industrial park, down Vanderveer Road to 524. I can't do it. It's too expensive. So politics played a role in that. That's why you have a solar farm and a warehouse there, because politics played a role. Now I'll go into some of the other comments from last time about legal issues, okay? The athletic center was denied by the zoning board in a positive vote of 4-3, but since it was not a permitted use, we needed a supermajority of 5. We appealed it to the Superior Court of New Jersey. Lawrence Lawson, we lost. We appealed it to the Appellate Division in Trenton, where we won. At the same time, we sat down with Howell Township. We did a Whispering Woods hearing. Everyone's in agreement. We also did a zone change, and so that zone change is Ordinance 188-86.3, which was approved in 2009. Well, some of the people who were objecting to the warehouses then sued us. They sued us and Howell Township for the zone change and for the Whispering Woods hearing. I had to go, and it bothers me because these same people spoke against the warehouses. They didn't want the athletic center. They didn't want the warehouses. Well, you're going to get the warehouse now. And the thing is that I had to pay a $25,000 settlement to pay the attorney for those people in Judge Lawson's courtroom. He didn't thank me once. He thanked me 3 times. Because I didn't want Howell Township to have to pay to defend us. It was the easiest way to get it done. So I'm imploring you today to approve Resolution 23-153 because it should be approved. There's no reason for it not to be done now. And this whole fairy dust thing about, oh, we've never done resolutions before. If you don't approve it tonight, it is definitely arbitrary and capricious. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor and Council.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker, bear with me. Last name Sembrielli. I'm sure I've done no justice to your name. My apologies. Please come forward. Would you repeat your name for me, please, and your address?
Mauricio Samarelli, 18 Mackenzie Court, Freehold, New Jersey.
Thank you.
16 years ago, I lived in Hudson County. I moved here like everyone else, trying to escape the city life. I started a family. I took pride in moving into Howell, the wildlife, the ducks, the horses. I wasn't accustomed to that. Fresh air, quality. I was willing to pay extra taxes than I was currently paying to have this quality of life for my kids. I took so much pride in telling North Jersey where I live, what's going on down here, the quality of life. And then fast forward to today, I'm so disappointed in so many ways that we're at this point where we have so many warehouses being built. So we have studies going on, but let me tell you my expertise in my career. I currently work in warehouses for 18 years. I'm a certified inspector checker up north at the docks and all the warehouses. I've been in the tri-state area, including New York City, Bayonne, Elizabeth, Newark. Let me tell you a little bit about reality, not what people think, what your attractive studies. This is my current daily basis, what I deal with. I go to work, I hit traffic going to work. When I get near my job, I am stuck in traffic on a daily basis because 18-wheelers are backed up. The facilities that I currently work are at capacity. So what happens is there's a holding area for these drivers, but then when those holding areas get to full capacity, they build up on the street. They idle on the street, create traffic. There's constant accidents taking place, fatalities on a daily basis. We have accidents that are to the point where you have fire trucks coming, ambulance. When the tractor trailer flips over, Howell is not going to be equipped to deal with chemicals. They're not going to be equipped to deal with emergency situations, which include fires, tractor trailers that have chemicals, hazmat. We're not taking all this in consideration, that what's taking place.
Please, let's be respectful of our speakers, please.
I deal with this on a daily basis in the sense where when I'm finally getting to the facility, I'm directing traffic. I breathe a lot of toxic air. I'm probably deaf at this point, so that's why I'm speaking so loud, because I have to hear the trucks, even with earplugs. I could go on and tell you that I've seen accidents where people have injured themselves, where they can't walk. They actually, I've been at dead situations. I've been put in positions where trucks and machinery got in accidents, and I had to pull people out of machines that tipped over with diesel and gas on them. You have no idea what we're going to be in for. How will be completely altered. We're talking about, it's not going to affect just North Howell, because these truck drivers work on, there's a pay system they work on. It's based on moves or hourly. Most of them work on moves that they make per day. So they're constantly trying to rush to bring in containers in and out, trucks in and out. So they're speeding. They take every opposite way. Even if you plan an alternate route, they're going to take the alternate route because they're trying to get to the facility. There's going to be massive traffic. The safety of our kids is going to be a disaster. My kids go to school. They're late every day because the buses are stuck in traffic. There's not enough drivers. Could you imagine 33 backed up with truck drivers everywhere standing by, idling while school buses are trying to get to school? And if there's an accident with my kid, isn't that a concern? I'm at work and I'm dealing for the safety of my life. I got to worry about my kids being on a school bus getting hit by a truck. What is this city became? What is this town became? I might as well live in the city. You know, this is something that should have been addressed a long time ago. We are not discriminating on warehouses. We understand the economy is increasing, the world is changing, we have to have warehouses. But you're going to approve all these warehouses in a small radius of 2 miles? You're asking for headaches in every direction, from safety to chemical to fire. How, I'm telling you, is not equipped to deal with these warehouses that we don't even know who's going to be using them. They're built, and we don't know who's going to purchase them, what chemicals are going to be on, if they could deal with the situation, an emergency situation. When there's an emergency situation in our warehouses, in our facilities, we have to evacuate. Do you know what takes place with evacuation? There's massive confusion, everybody's scattering. This is what you're going to expect in Howell. So be prepared, because for those who don't think this is going to be a problem, be prepared.
Sorry.
It's going to affect
Thank
all
you.
of Howell.
Your
All of
time has
Howell.
ended. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker is Bob Novak. Please come up, state your name and address. I'm sorry, you couldn't hear me? Bob Novak? I apologize, Mr. Novak. Good evening.
Bob Novak, 427 Lakewood Farmingdale Road. Council, good evening. The Howell Heritage and Historical Society is striving for more community involvement. The old Ardenas Schoolhouse was opened the afternoon of the last Sunday of the month of March through October of 2022, and we're scheduling the same thing again this year. We had Santa and Mrs. Claus holiday event last December. The Easter Bunny was on hand in our first open house this year in March. This past weekend, we partnered with 5 other area historic schools in the one-room schoolhouse tour of Western Monmouth County. 2 members gave a presentation to 5th grades at the present-day Ardenas School and invited them out to one of our open houses, and many of them had come. We have run past fundraisers and are scheduling future events to generate monies toward the operations, upkeep, minor repairs, and preservation of the Ardenas Schoolhouse and the Mackenzie Museum. We have applied for and received past grants from the Monmouth County Historical Commission and we have also received generous grants from the New Jersey Questers Organization. While these are deeply appreciated, upkeep and preservation are a continuing challenge to fund. Many visitors ask if Howell Township assists our cause, to which we've had to say that that occurred several years in the past, but not so in the present. Tonight I ask if, during this current budget deliberation process, if you would kindly consider renewing a contribution of $5,000 toward the preservation and education of Howell history, either through the main budget or the Open Space, Recreation, Farmland, and Historic Preservation Trust Fund. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Novak. And let's see. Maria Sissio? Hello. Again, name and address, if you would, please.
Maria Sissio, 3 Tower Court, Farmingdale. Mine is going to be very brief. Thank you for hearing us tonight. Everyone has the same concerns about our children. My question is, and I'm not sure how you will answer this, if it may be in the minutes, but why does our zoning allow for the projects of this size within that short 2-mile radius? Howell Road and Fairfield Road are within blocks of each other. And we're going to have 500,000 square feet of warehouse. Our children are our primary concern for safety. Those school buses, we have people who drive those school buses that say they could just about get down Fairfield Road on time to get the kids to school, and Howell Road exits right into the school system. I worked for the school system, so I am very concerned about the kids. And if somebody could answer those questions, I understand there are different areas, like, for example, someone said Wall actually has lot coverage and traffic limitations in their zoning laws. So I would hope that we would take that into consideration. I thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that wishes to address this evening? Anyone else from the public? If so, please come up. Name and address, please.
Johnny Tedesco. I live at 1016 Lakewood Farmingdale Road, and I've lived here since 1980. I was 5 years old when I moved in, and I have to say I am absolutely disgusted with the way that our town has progressed. I really don't know if any of you live in the area where all of the building has been going on, but just between 195 and Oak Glen Road, in the past, I don't even know, we have Cisco Food Company, which is a trucking company that delivers 18-wheelers all day long. We have the transfer station on Randolph Road that produces hundreds of trucks, whether they are dump trucks or regular trucks, coming to drop off or pick up dirt all day long, going down 195. Then you have the 2 office buildings that are currently on Oak Glen Road next to Cisco, next to the food company, that produce a ton of traffic, as well as across the street from my home, where you're on Oak Glen Road and 547, you are now putting up a giant monstrosity of a office building that I cannot even walk out into my front yard without looking at every single day, okay? You already took an acre of my frontage of property when you widened Oak Glen Road, which we didn't have a choice in the matter because it was considered an eminent domain. So my question to you, on top of all of this traffic that we already have, and on top of the traffic that is coming in and out from 195 to Lakewood, when is it going to be enough? We don't have hardly any traffic lights down our end of the road. I can hardly get out of my driveway several times of the day. The school buses are having an issue. I mean, how much more can you really put in this one stretch of area? I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, it looks good on black and white, and when you're selling the property and putting the money in your pocket, but when you have to live up the street or across the street and look at it and drive through it and live it every single day, it is a completely different story. And you know, I know it's a really hard decision to make, but I really hope that you think about this and go in our favor. Thank you for the time.
Thank you very much. Anyone else, please? Come up front. Again, please identify yourself with address. Good evening.
Benjamin Novick, 58 Yellowstone Lane in Howell. And just a couple of items as far as the traffic goes with the trucks. You know, they're detrimental to our rural life here. The other day, we were by the Lander Pines School, and one of the tractor trailers, he didn't just cut the curb, he ran over the sidewalk. So all the improvements we make, you know, these guys are going to just crush it. All right, couple items. Unmarked vans in the area. 2 years ago, there was a problem, and kids being lured to vans, and they were supposed to have their business name on the side of the vans, so they were identifiable. I see so many contractors around with unmarked vans, so I think you ought to follow up on that. And next thing is taxes. The budget that the township manager put out, I got to commend you on that, all of you people that worked on it. It was nice to see it in the agenda, so I appreciate that. But the thing I didn't like was the increase in the taxes, because with over 1,000 new high-priced 55-plus homes going up, just an estimate is like $13 million in taxes coming into the community. So, you know, can't understand that. All right, another thing is the Zoom meetings. The only one I understand that still has a Zoom meeting is the zoning board. And over the last year, I just, you know, glanced at it, and some of the meetings lasted only 15 minutes. I'd like to know, is there any remuneration to the members of the zoning board? Because back in the 80s, I was on the school board with Evelyn, and we spent hours, days, and we didn't get a sou, which is rightfully so, because you do it for the community, not for yourself. And the last thing is the mayor. Every time there's a hot-button issue, or every other meeting that we've been here, I haven't seen the mayor. I mean, I hope she doesn't have any kind of medical issue, which I can understand, but over the years, when we had a township meeting, the mayor was there. So, thanks a lot for doing a good job, appreciate it, and good luck to you.
Thank you, Mr. Novak. Anyone else would like to come up and speak? Please, come on up. The usual name and address, please. Thank you.
My name is Lu. My name is Lu Wang. I'm living in number 2, Statesboro Road. Yeah, today I'm here just tell you some truth, nothing but truth, okay? I took a video today before I came here.
I'm sorry, could you identify that for us, please?
That's a truck drive on Fairfield Road. Let me show that to everybody here.
So what did you observe, sir?
Okay. I took this video from my yard, which is 30 feet from my house. I read this kind of big truck drive on Fairfield Road. My house was shaking. I have some decoration. I have some decoration in my house. When this truck come back, drive by, there was a vibration. You can see everything is shaking. This happened since last summer, when the construction work used big machine dug on the road, and after that they didn't pave the road correctly. Now the big truck drive on that, and my house was shaking. I have some image here. I don't know if I can display here. My house get cracked from ceiling to floor, inside, outside. We bought the house in 2021. Now it's almost year and 10 months now. My house value goes down, definitely. It's damaged. And you know what? I'm paying tax now. My tax went up. Please tell me why I moved to Howell. Right now the social media, everything I can put on the social media, the whole world will know that in minutes. I don't give good reputation on Howell. If the big warehouse is keep building in that road, as I know, there are 2 more well built on that road. That's my concern. And also, not only me, my neighbors, I talked to like 20 neighbors. They're all concerned about that. They cannot let kids play outside. The road is, somebody's mailbox is like 2 feet from the road. See these big trucks? Their kids cannot play outside now. And their house get the same thing. Somebody say, my dog was running crazy because the truck goes by. So that's the situation now. I don't know how many warehouses are going to be built in that Fairfield Road. But it's really my concern. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to speak this evening? If so, please stand. Come forward. Good evening.
Hello, my name is Megan Sharon, 14 St. John's Drive. I moved to North Howell in 2009. I used to say that the only things near my neighborhood that I could buy easily were local honey, pumpkins, or fresh juices. I did feel that this was slightly inconvenient, but as time went on and I became a mother, I realized that it was quite a blessing to have a lack of commerce and, of course, a lack of warehouses around me. Right now, to get to work, I take 33 every day. I cannot get to 33 from my neighborhood, which is Country Meadows. Therefore, I take Bennett Road to Fairfield to 33. Coming home, I already feel unsafe as I make my right turn onto Howell Road. As cars are going 50 to 60 degrees behind me, sometimes I slam on the brakes before I make my right turn to avoid hitting me. I also have 2 children. They go to Middle School North and Ardena. I just did a quick estimate today. I'm a math person, and I think that there are instances of at least 500 students that take Fairfield Road daily. This is not including any after-school buses. This is not including vans. I also asked the board, where is the bus depot? I feel like it is on 33. I'm not sure. But if the bus depot that has to service the buses at Howell has to also come down Fairfield Road to get to whatever school they're going to and their routes, how is this also going to impact the situation? And I do have the following questions. Was a traffic impact study conducted as part of the application packet? If so, who conducted it and what methods were used to collect the data? What were the dates that the study was conducted over? Was it an accurate representation of current traffic, i.e. not done during a pandemic when there was no people going to work or very few people going to work and no children in schools? I would also like to ask about the environmental and noise impact studies. Were they conducted and submitted as part of the application packet, and are they available to review? Finally, I would like to quote a part of a USA Today article from 2013 regarding Howell's Ramp to Nowhere, which is the ramp that I do not take to and from my home as I go to work every day. I will note this, excuse me. The presence of endangered bog turtles pushed the ramp 400 feet north of its original location. The ramp was planned as part of a cloverleaf system of 4 exits and entrances linking Route 33 and Howell Road. An idea was shelved in the face of opposition from residents fearful of high traffic volumes. There were citizen complaints about the traffic. Mark Kulik said, residents didn't want the extra traffic with an added exit. My question is, if in 2013, they wouldn't put a ramp where it needed to go because of bog turtles, right? Why will you not make decisions about the safety of our children today? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other remarks from anyone in the audience this evening? If so, please stand. Please come forward. Good evening.
I'm Peter Guilfoyle. I live on 47 Victory Road.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
47 Victory Road, Peter Guilfoyle.
Thank you.
I didn't come prepared, but I'm listening to all this, and what I see is that the warehouse people, the developers, have no interest in the people, in the residents. They're putting up these warehouses and they're destroying these people's lives. And I just want you to know how deep it's going, that they're going to probably the most rural road in Howell Township, Victory Road. The road is curved, it's narrow, it's got pipes running underneath to drain the water off the swamps that we live in. If they take over Victory Road, they're going to destroy this township. It's your last place of rural. When people ask me where I live, I don't tell them I live on Victory Road. I say I live next to the alpaca farm, or I live next to the bamboo farm, because that's what Howell is. We have an ecosystem that works. We have wells. We have septic systems that work. Now they want to bring in sewer for, 30 houses? No, they want to bring it in for a warehouse and water, and force residents to hook up to that. It's just that they have no regard for the residents of Howell Township. And I would ask that somehow you consider some kind of resolution to decrease the amount of trucking and the time of day. Why should we allow trucks to be running up and down these roads at midnight, at 2 a.m., at 4 a.m., backup horns going on all the time while their forklifts are working? The township can do something, at least to prevent what's coming in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that'd like to address council this evening? Good evening, how are you?
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Lauren Pickenich. I live at 15 Desai Court. And I know at the top of this meeting, the council discussed the protection of our children and the protection of our trees and woodlands. And everything about these warehouses are going against that. We moved from Hudson County 9 years ago to the lovely town of Howell for its rural feel and suburban charm. And it's really disappointing to learn that these warehouses are being built so close to our residential area. My son's school bus route takes Fairfield Road every day, with entering semis and tractor trailers sharing the road with a school bus on a regular basis on a road that is not structurally designed to handle the weight and the size of these vehicles. I'm afraid will lend itself to tragedy, and it's only waiting to happen. It has also come to our attention that the natural gas station could be compromised in the event of a driver error. What concessions is the town willing to make to ensure our safety as well as the environmental impact to this area? What is the contingency plan if there's a natural gas line safety event for the surrounding homes and residents? And how will these new warehouses impact the evacuation route? The other point is the intersection of 33 and Fairfield and Brickyard Road is hazardous on a good day. How will this intersection be improved once semi-tractors are added to the mix? We request a new traffic study be implemented, as we were told the initial plans were drawn during COVID, and that is not a true representation of our daily traversed roads. I would be curious to see what the CO2 footprint also will be once we have 24/7 routes established. If these warehouses continue to be built, who decides what kind of occupants go in? Will that be based on a vote, and who votes on that? Lastly, if these warehouses continue to be built and occupied, we want full transparency of where the money the town is receiving as a result of the relationship between the developer and local government. What do the tax-paying residents get out of this? What is in it for us? And why should we even want this? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak this evening? If so, please come forward. Please, Good evening. Wait, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Barbara Lloyd. I live on 695 Oak Glen Road in Howell. I remember being here when we had the discussion about the 100 acres on Randolph and Oak Glen Road, that massive warehouse that was going to be the size of Freehold Raceway Mall. You had denied them the application to build that. They appealed, they were denied, and I understand that in December, they filed another application. And I also understand that the zoning you hadn't changed the zoning, so now they're grandfathered in with that original application to be the size of Freehold Raceway Mall, a warehouse. It's probably like the size of the 6 that you're talking about. That one would be that one whole area on Randolph and Oak Glen. And like other people have said, they weren't supposed to, they're not going to drive down Oak Glen, they have to drive around. They're not going to do that. My question is this. You really can't blame people for applying. They can apply for whatever they want. My problem is with the town. My problem is with the township. We elect our officials to represent us. You approve their application. If you hadn't approved their application, we wouldn't be here tonight. Everyone is thanking you for doing this, doing that. My question is, what is our elected officials, who do you really represent? Do you represent or do you represent the people? I really don't understand this whole thing. Please. I don't understand. I really wasn't even planning on speaking tonight, but I'm hearing all of this, and I'm hearing about the building that went up. Well, how did that building go up? That building went up because somebody approved it. Now, you can't tell me that when someone applies for an application for a warehouse, that people aren't going to be upset. You know the houses around the area. You approve the developments to build 30, 40 houses, and they're beautiful houses off there on Fairfield. They're beautiful. And you're going to now put these people in the position of, now all of a sudden we're going to have these massive trucks? And we talk about the children, we tell you, please think about the children. You should be thinking about the children when the application comes to you. Now, I understand you're approving because of the zoning, but if you hadn't changed, you change the zoning all the time. I go from agriculture to industry, back to agriculture. I was RD2, Box 42, rural delivery for years and years. You change the zoning all the time. We're so mixed up, we don't know if we're for families or if we're for industry. And it's very hard for families to feel that they can trust. We want to be able to trust our elected officials. We should be able to trust you whether we are virtual or not. We have to have ethics and stop putting things under the rug when we had a pandemic. Now, I understand that the 6 months, they didn't change the zoning for the Oak Glen Road.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Oak Glen Road for that massive warehouse. Now, they applied again recently. Now, they were denied,
and they were denied on appeal. How do they have the nerve now to reapply? They must think that there's something different now about Howell or the board or something. I mean, let's face reality with politics and everything else. We want to have our faith and trust in our elected officials. We are not stupid. I love where I live, and I don't want to have to be afraid. I shouldn't have to, and neither should they. But you have to understand, when you have an application, if they meet the zoning requirements, maybe it needs to be changed again. Because how do you have 50 houses built 2 miles away from where this application took place?
Thank you. Your time has ended.
We have to be realistic.
Anyone else wish to speak? Is there anyone else that wishes to speak this evening? If so, please come forward. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Natalie Peretta. I live at 1 Statesboro Road, right at Fairfield. And I just am here tonight to ask you for help. I don't understand why these 2 warehouses, additional warehouses, on Fairfield Road were approved. I was on the Zoom meetings, and I said my concerns as well as a lot of other people, and I didn't feel that we were even taking into consideration any of our concerns. I have 2 children. My daughter goes to middle school north, and she gets picked up right on Fairfield Road with the bus, school bus, and there's always traffic. And sometimes at night she's getting picked up because certain times of the year it's dark. And my son goes right to Adelphia School, right down the street of where the warehouses are being built. Currently, the one that's existing on Fairfield Road, there's constant trucks up and down Fairfield Road all day long. I work remote from home, so I see the trucks. And I know they're not just going on 33. They're going towards the elementary school. And I feel my whole house shake all day long. When I go in the office, I work in Midtown at Lexington Avenue, and my monitors don't shake. But when I'm in my house in a rural community, my whole house and my monitors are shaking when I'm working. So I'm here to ask you for help because I don't understand how those 2 additional warehouses could be approved on Fairfield, such a small residential road. There's already 1 huge warehouse there. Why do 2 new warehouses have to be built right across the street, such a small area, and those roads aren't meant to hold all that traffic? I just don't understand that. And it's upsetting to me because we moved here from Brooklyn 5 years ago, wanting peace and quiet, and now we're on the corner right at Fairfield, and I have more noise than anything, and it's very unfair. I also have damage to my house. I have cracks in my foundation, and it's all from the building and road work and everything they did on Fairfield Road. We didn't have that before. So I just, I want you to take the residents into consideration when you approve this stuff, because the planning board didn't seem like they did. They just went ahead and approved it, even though everybody gave their concerns. And it is very upsetting. So I hope you could help out and do something. I mean, I don't feel those 2 should be built on Fairfield, additional. There's already 1 that isn't even occupied. So why would 2 additional be built right across the street? You have 3 huge warehouses on a small residential road. It just doesn't make sense. I'm surprised it was even approved. So I'm just asking for your help. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak this evening? Hello.
Who said that?
I said that.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
Hi, Philip Langer, 286 Merrick Road. I just have a few questions. Did you say that all of our questions will be addressed after everyone speaks?
Yes, the attorney, I'm sorry.
quiet.
We will address what we can, but not all questions can be addressed. Give us an opportunity to research some, and we'll do our best to address them at the next meeting as well.
Thank you. Okay, first question. Everyone has the same concerns here. The 24/7, what can be done to shut that down? I mean, even 10 o'clock at night, you can't even ride your tractor loudly at night. What can be done to change the hours that it is allowable for these tractor trailers and dump trucks to be flying down Fairfield Road? That's first. The second thing is, we were told that they were going to restrict traffic leaving the warehouses, that they go towards Route 33 when they leave, not towards Adelphia Road. My question is, right now, if you stand, there's a big farm on Fairfield Road. Jim Hosey runs the farm there. It's right at the end of my street. I stopped the other day to ask him if he knew what was going on, and we stood there, and 3 or 4 dump trucks, full dump trucks, went flying past us. And I said, how often does that happen? He goes, it happens all day long. So my question is, if the traffic is going to be restricted coming south on Fairfield Road with tractor trailers, why isn't it done now? And can we do anything about that to make it happen now? Because that'll end the problems. My neighbors around the corner on the end of Statesboro, that both have cracks in their foundations, it's all because of the construction traffic that's running up and down Fairfield Road right now. The last meeting, I did speak about the traffic at 33 now that currently exists, how it backs up all the way to Howell Township. I'm glad everyone else that's here is saying the same thing. It's a traffic fiasco. I have one last question. Does anybody here want the warehouses to be built?
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Please come forward. Thank you. Please allow this gentleman to speak and have his full 5 minutes. Thank you. Name and address, please.
Ira Thor, 10 Madeline Court in Farmingdale. I think everybody up here knows me. You'll be shocked to know this is actually the first time in my 13 years living in Howell I've ever spoken at a council meeting. I've really never had a reason to before, because by and large I think council does a pretty good job. And I come up here tonight with respect. But we need your help. We need it now, and it's truly now or never. My family moved here 13 years ago. We moved here because of the rural nature of the town and because of our school system. If we wanted to live in Edison, we would move to Edison. In all due respect to the people of Edison, we do not want Howell to become Edison. We are going to become trapped in our homes, and I'm speaking as a resident of North Howell. Fairfield Road and Howell Road are about to basically be closed off to the residents. We will not be able to get out of this town to even go to work or shop or live. Just think about, if you add up how many vehicles, both trucks and cars, are going to be using these facilities on a daily basis, it's very easy to quantify that number is going to be close to 2,500 vehicles a day, and a lot of them are going to be trucks that don't give a damn about any of us who live in this town. How are we going to get to Route 33? How are we going to get to 5 Points Road? How are we going to get to Colts Neck High School, right? How long are the wait times going to be at Fairfield Road and 33 Business Route, where it's already backed up in the morning now? Just imagine what it's going to be once these warehouses are actually open. Our quality of life is going to be destroyed. Our privacy, our air, our environment, our ability to even sleep in our homes if this is 24/7. And most importantly, and this is why I save this for last, is our safety. Fairfield Road right now can barely fit 2 cars down the street right now, right? You're bouncing around right now since they put these water mains in. You can't even stay unless you have 2 hands on the wheel on your side of the road. As you all know, I am a longtime member of the Howell Board of Education. Nothing keeps me up more at night than the safety of our children. I'm passionate about that. I'll speak out, and I get emotional about this. Tonight, I'm not speaking as a member of the Howell Board of Education. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, Ira Thor, father of 3, who doesn't want to see a tragedy happen to my family or other families in this town. What's going to happen when a school bus and a truck right now on this narrow road try to drive down at the same time because it's going to happen. This is not a matter of if, this is a matter of when, and there's going to be blood on somebody's hands when a truck hits a school bus head-on. It is going to happen. Save this video. It will be replayed on the news thousands of times when that happens. My daughter is 16 years old. She gets her license in 6 months. So excited. We have a vehicle picked out for her. Can't wait to drive to Colts Neck High School. But how long until she's hit by a truck trying to drive down Fairfield Road? Or even if she's lucky, oh, maybe she'll find Fairfield's not available. Oh, she'll go down Bennett and then go up Howell Road. Trucks are going to go down that road too. How long until that happens? Or how about this? We know that trucks are going to find the easiest route possible. That means, yeah, we might put in some weight limitations on Fairfield Road, but they're still going to drive south on Fairfield to cut corners. What's going to happen when I lose my child? Or what happens when somebody else in this town loses their child? Because let's be honest, we can put rules in place about weight limits for trucks, but truckers are getting paid by the load. They're getting paid based on how fast they can load and unload. They're not going to pay attention to weight limitations. They're going to take the path of least resistance, which in, for example, Fairfield Road, they're going to drive south towards Adelphia. Cops are not going to be able to sit out there 24/7 handing out tickets, nor should they have to, because our cops bust their asses
You have 1
and
minute
have
remaining.
plenty to do as it is. If we are not going to act now, our town is going to become unrecognizable. Lives will be lost. Blood will be on somebody's hands in this town. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I don't want to live in Edison, and I hope none of you do either. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thorne. Anyone else wish to speak this evening? If so, please come forward. Good evening. Name and address, please.
Good evening, my name is Paige Hackett. I live at 578 Newton's Corner Road. And I just wanted to tell 3 stories. I took Victory Road to get here tonight, and I had to stop my car for geese crossing the road. That's the first story. Second story is, last fall, my husband was driving Victory Road in the evening. He was driving our sons home from the PAL, where they were taking their STEM class, and an ambulance came up behind him. He pulled over in the dark, because Victory Road is not well lit, pulled right into a ditch and destroyed the bottom half of his car and caused $3,000 worth of damage. He drives a minivan, he doesn't drive a tractor trailer. So my question is the entirety of Victory Road going to be made safe for these tractor trailers? I don't see how we're footing the bill for the ditches on the side of the road to be repaired. My third story is in regard to the Monmouth Commerce Center on Randolph Road, which is proposed. I'm not going to be able to attend the zoning board the planning board meeting this Thursday. So I wanted to address what the traffic expert had said. Their traffic study was done on October 28th of 2021, which was, as you know, in the midst of a pandemic. The traffic expert says that they have multipliers. They take whatever traffic measurements they have, and then they multiply it by what the Department of Transportation says is the pandemic qualifiers, whatever the word is. I can tell you exactly what I was doing on October 28th of 2021. I was home because my son was quarantined for a disease that he didn't have because he was a close contact. My husband was home. We were all home. I can tell you that our county was orange at that time. I remember it. I didn't need to look it up because that date was 2 days before Halloween the day before the Friday of Halloween when he was going to be quarantined for disease he didn't have at the time. So many people were home at that time, and whatever multipliers they have, I don't feel can possibly accurately reflect when the state was in different shades of orange. Some were in yellow, some were in green at that time. So how can these traffic studies that say that they are taking into account pandemic numbers possibly reflect the truth? Thank you. That's it.
Thank you very much. Someone else? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Juliana Alcaraz, and We live on 353 Fairfield Road, which is literally right next to where one of these buildings, warehouses are going to be built. We bought this farm. It's a 14-acre farm, and we bought it 4 years ago in 2019. We have beehives, we have fruit trees, we have crops, and ever since the New Jersey Natural Gas Company was built and this other warehouse that it's been being built now, we've had a lot more wildlife coming into the farm, which now we have to consider about fencing all around to prevent this. And we run a business on this farm. We sell our honey that we harvest from our beehives, and other products. And just when one road, one lane gets closed, we get very slow. Even dead, we don't get any customers. So my business is being impacted just by the traffic that it's already in progress now. I'm gonna give you a personal story. In 2014, I'm sorry.
Take your time.
I lost a child on a car accident on Kozlowski Road. He was 7 years old. He went to school in Ardena. And I'm sure a lot of residents know about this story. And we bought this farm looking for peace. And now I have to worry about my 7-year-old and my 5-year-old riding the bus, going to Adelphi Road. As you can see, we're waiting for our third baby. And it's very frustrating just to think about that I already lost a child and that it could happen again. I mean, just hearing the stories, what could happen is very, very stressing. So I do ask, to think about the children. It's not even about the business. It's not even about, us as adults. It's the children. This is how once my son passed away, I knew I didn't want to leave Howell. The whole community came together to help me. I was a single mom. And he was my only child back then. So I do ask you to please think about these warehouses, especially the ones that are being built right next to my house on Howell Road. There's a baseball field out there. So, yes, hopefully, I didn't want to talk about this, but it had to be said. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for sharing. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak this evening? If so, please come forward.
Good evening, Mark Parisi, Two Castle Court. Jennifer Okerson, who lives on Okerson Road, wrote something that she wanted to read tonight, but she couldn't come, so she asked me to read it on
Yes,
her behalf.
actually, our clerk was prepared to read that into the record, but if you would care to read it
I'll do it
first,
since
that's
I'm here.
fine.
Yeah, sure. She wrote, I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight and am most grateful for your willingness to listen. I have lived in North Howell for my entire life. It is a lovely area with charm, open fields, well-spaced houses, and a generous ratio of open land to developed areas. At one time, it was important to the leaders of Howell that we preserve open space. Now I am disappointed that the leadership's focus has inexplicably shifted and our community is being inundated with 3 large warehouses within 2 miles of each other. Other townships have done this, and many of their population have moved away or lament the consequences of the decision. I seriously encourage the council to remain true to the vision for rural Howell and maintain its original decision to deny the proposed warehouse on Okerson Road. There is a very large warehouse with many bays and ample rental space at the other end of Okerson Road. Rather than build another one, why not consider making use of that one half a mile away? Additionally, this proposed warehouse has many more bays, parking spots than required. Considering the current emphasis on going green and preserving natural settings, Scaling back seems like a prudent decision, one that might help keep our setting attractive and inviting. In addition, traffic will increase on Okerson Road, which is already busy with speeding cars disregarding safety laws. Before moving forward with this harmful plan, the town should consider doing a traffic pattern study. Finally, what is the consideration for septic issues, as there are no sewers in that area? Other than our houses, the North Howell Little League baseball fields needs to be considered. This field is used by kids and families year-round, especially during the spring and fall seasons. When one drives down Okerson Road, cars are seen lined up on both sides of the road, continuing past the fields in either direction. Kids change into uniforms and play on the grassy area near the road. What would adding a stream of tractor-trailers do except take away from the natural setting of the field and make for hazardous conditions? The kids are excited to play baseball and are not conscious of new traffic, which, to repeat, would be hazardous to their personal safety. Additionally, some children, mainly mine, must cross the road to get to the field. Okerson Road is not made for that kind of traffic. Again, it was made for the kids to have fun and safely play without having to worry about breathing in more pollutants and the unnatural variables of lighting and truck noises that would most likely become a sensory overload during the night. I am aware that landowners can develop their property. However, in this case, I urge you to consider the spirit of what the vision is for North Howell. Just because one can do something does not mean one should. So I'll take up the remainder of my time to just share my comments. First, I just want to say the resolutions for the sewer approval, I remain steadfast in my belief that the council should table them again and wait for the 45 days to end. Having reviewed this prior to the last council meeting, I've never seen a situation where this council passed tentative or final sewer for a project prior to within 45 days of the planning board approving a resolution. Normally, it's always been several months. In some circumstances, it's been up to a year. I don't know what the rush is. I don't understand why these developers can't wait the normal course of time like everyone else. And I disagree with the gentleman who says that it would be arbitrary in some manner for you guys to table it and just wait
1 minute
more
remaining.
time. The other thing is that I think that there are things that this council can do. I think that you could reinstate the ordinance that allows residents to bring any zoning board approval to council. So if the zoning board grants a use variance of some sort and it deviates from what this council, has set forth in their own zoning, that residents could come to the council challenging a zoning board approval. I think that you should reinstate that and give residents the opportunity to bring it to you guys who established the zoning. So I think there are things that could be done to kind of, button all this up, and I just hope that, the message tonight has been received loud and clear that residents do not want these mega warehouses, and that we should be changing our zoning to have maximum building lot coverage and other things. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Please come forward.
My name is Stephanie Maroney. I live on 295 Fairfield Road. I was born and raised in Howell. My whole family is from here. We actually, my family was here when Howell was actually Lakewood. We have the same zip code. My husband is also from Howell. We went to high school together. I've never come to a meeting before, never thought I had to. We raised our children over in Southard. About 3 years ago, we said we had enough of Southard. It got too busy over there for us. Our kids were grown, and we said, you know what, we want to go. We want to buy a house where we're going to retire. And we knew we wanted to stay in Howell because that's where we were from. So we moved from South Howell to North Howell because we figured that was the best bet. I teach near Edison. I teach in Piscataway. So I really look forward to coming home every day from the traffic and from what I see up north. And living on Fairfield, I didn't realize, and I guess I should have, that it was a little bit busier than what I expected, but I didn't expect it to be what it is now. Unfortunately, last summer I got sick. I was home. I usually work summer school. I was home, and I spent the entire summer home. Every time I'd go get my mail, I was scared. We already lost 2 mailboxes, but the traffic was terrible. And I was like, you got to be kidding us. My husband, maybe maybe we need to get out of Howell now, you know? So with that said, you know, it just bothers me to think that there's going to be that much more stuff going on, and that those warehouses are going to affect the way that, even though my kids are grown, I'm expecting to have grandchildren real soon. We had our first daughter just get married, so, but I don't know that I could stay there anymore. I don't know that if Howell's going to be my place, if I have to worry about getting hit when I go outside because I can't go to work anymore, or I don't know if I want to stay where the town doesn't support what Howell used to be. Because when I was a kid, you know, we used to walk down Route 9 when it was one lane. I'm sure a lot of you remember what it used to be like. And it was a really nice town. And now it's kind of getting kind of shitty. So I hope that you guys would consider just thinking about what you're putting down there when, you know, we got enough crap going on in this town. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, Michael Jakovich, 210 Thoroughbred Drive, rest of the crew in the back. So I have a wife, she's 37 weeks pregnant, having my second daughter in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We moved to where we are about 5 years ago with the dream of really kind of enjoying the peaceful landscape and just what comes with that territory over there. A lot of families like mine are moving into the area. Things are changing, and the kids are staying. I drove by the baseball fields this past weekend, Friday, Saturday, Thursday, every day, packed cars. And I thought to myself, how on earth is a truck going to drive and make a turn out of that area where they were supposed to? I heard Matthew say before something about this comprehensive farmland preservation plan. How can we keep approving warehouses if we have a plan that's in action? What does this plan look like? Does it include warehouses where they are right now? Or are we just going to rezone things and make that the insurance policy for the damage that's being done right now? What is this plan? I mean, I think everybody wants to know because it doesn't seem like there's no plan right now.
Please continue. Go ahead.
I saw by the Wawa right there on Howell Road going on to 33 West the other day. 18-wheeler making a left, stuck there for 5 minutes. They're handing out driver's license for big rigs like it's candy. These guys are not like Sully from the movie, from the airplane pilot, you know, landing on the Hudson. These guys are going to crash, they're going to hit people, there's going to be damage. I can go on and on and on about everything else everybody else said, but that is going to be a disaster. You guys are going to have to pay a lot of money, or we are going to have to pay a lot of money to fix a lot of problems. So I really hope you guys really reconsider everything that's going on, and that this plan that's being put together actually incorporates what's actually going on. So thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to come up and speak this evening? Anyone else? Good evening. Name and address, please.
To my notes, Steve Morlino, Peachstone Road, 38 years. Just had a few comments I wanted to make in regard to what we're discussing here. First of all, I wanted to talk about virtual meetings versus hybrid meetings, okay? So I've been on a number of these virtual meetings, and I got to tell you, it's a horrible way to do business, okay? The public is not adequately represented because of the way we're doing business. And this council has the ability to change that immediately, not wait until June when all these approvals are done, because that seems to be the plan, okay? And the other thing I'd like to know is our new policy where you people that were elected by these people don't answer questions. You leave it up to people who weren't elected. They elected you to represent them, and they'd like to hear from you what your opinions are, not tell us a month from now, okay? a month from now, we're going to hear maybe the answer to the question. Well, I've been to several of these meetings. I've yet to hear a direct response to all the questions that are put forward by the residents, okay? So that's just a subterfuge, okay? That's a scapegoat thing that you're doing. You people were elected to represent the folks here, not these two gentlemen, okay? I didn't elect them. I didn't elect you either, I'll tell you that right here, okay? But that's besides the point, okay? Why is the sewer approval being pushed through so quickly? What's the basis for this? Have you read the elect reports where tens of thousands of dollars have been given to a PAC run by two former deputy mayors in this town? Have you looked at those elect reports on the state level? They're available for public purview, okay? Someone should be looking at those and asking a lot of questions. Okay? Victory Road, I drove over there the other day. That S-curve is a disaster waiting to happen. There's no way two tractor trailers are going to pass each other on that road at 25 miles an hour, let alone 40 or 50 miles an hour. So anyone who puts their signature to that is going to have blood on their hands. There's no doubt about that. Okay? Today, I left the reservoir. I walk at the reservoir every day, so it was about 11:30, quarter to 12. I left the reservoir. I went down Aldridge Road to turn onto Oakland to go up to where I live. There was one car in front of me. The car made the right on Oakland to go over 195. Well, coming the other way was, guess what? A huge tractor trailer, probably the biggest one I've ever seen on the road. It said Wegmans on it, okay? It was coming from the Fast Forward warehouse. Now, 25 years ago, I was at this meeting when we were told signage was going to be put up and the warehouse, fast forward, all the trucks would go to the left to 547. Well, 547 doesn't go to the right, okay? Wegmans, as far as I know, the closest one is up in Manalapan. So this fellow was going up Aldridge Road to Route 9, through all the residential streets there, making a right on Route 9 to go to Wegmans, okay? So that's another farce we keep hearing by our traffic experts and all of our professionals that they're going to put signs up to control the traffic. Well, you can ask the officer in the back. We don't have enough officers to monitor all these signs and make sure the traffic's going in the route it's supposed to take. So that's a fallacy, okay? The master plan. Oh, by the way, on Oakland Road yesterday, there was a tractor trailer broke down for 11 hours. Just sitting there. 18-wheeler, okay? So that's another problem. Those people that have those fancy houses built there, I guess they might be upset when they see that happening more and more. So right now is the time for you folks to address the master plan and make some changes before more approvals are done. We have a number of farms for sale in this town, some of them 50, 60 acres. Very easy to put some warehouses there. Unless you people act, and you people appoint the zoning board, you appoint the planning board, okay? It's your responsibility. We elected you. As a matter of fact, you told the public in written flyers that I have that in the first 100 days you were in office, which by the way was April 10th, you were going to review all the ordinances. How's that going? Have you made any changes, recommendations? Have we directed the professionals here what we want done? We pay the professionals. You have control over that manager. You gave him a $40,000 raise, you have the right to fire him too. So if he doesn't do what you want to do, okay, you have the authority to throw us out, okay? So again, I'd like to hear from the council, not from these folks. They're very nice people. I'm not taking that away from them. But you were the ones elected to represent the people behind me. I think you're hearing loud and clear this evening, they are upset. And I'm glad they're upset. Maybe they'll come out to a lot more meetings, and maybe a lot of the public watching
Thank you. Your time has ended.
Thank you very much for your time.
Would anyone else like to speak this evening? If so, please come forward. Thank you.
John Leggio, 9 Livingston Drive. That's what you guys get for poking one of the bears in town, so, but whatever. I'm not here to address the warehouse stuff. I currently sit on the planning board. I'm here to address the traffic issue that you guys were gonna, for Howell PD, for the fish factory on Ramtown Greenville Road. That was gonna come up tonight, Mr. Clark? It's on the agenda, right? So, it's not just, in front of Ramtown Greenville where the factory's situated. That whole thing needs to be addressed, leaving there, going up Arnold Avenue, to the end, making the left, going onto Oakland Road, going onto Randolph Road, to the end to 547, and then making another left, and then going up Alexander out to Route 9, because that's 90% of their route. Okay, I live in that area. I mean, I used to run my business out of that area, so I know that area very well. I know they have to do their new driveway, and it's going to move everything over 50 feet or something for the tractor trailers to come in and out. But I took a drive over there today, and they're still pretty much shut down from the Passover. And I remember during the Zoom meetings, they said before the zoning board approved the expansion, they said there was only going to be one tractor trailer in and out of there on a daily basis, okay? So when I drove up in there today, there was 4 tractor trailers parked in the back, hidden from the road. So, well, whatever, whatever time they came in or whatever time they, that's, whatever they told the zoning board is not, the way it's going to operate, and that's going to be an issue for Mr. Howard and, our township officials moving forward if that's what the case is going to be. But please direct Howell PD to do a full traffic all the way around, because that's a massive, massive exit out of the Ramtown area from Ramtown Greenville Road with all the schools heading to Lanes Mill, okay? So, I know you don't live, most of you don't live on that side of town, but that's a massive bottleneck over there happening, okay? And then, so that's one thing. And then, as far as the residents being upset with everything that goes on, it just seems to me that no one really cares or gets involved until it's in their backyard, okay? So a lot of these warehouse things have been on the table for years, or got tabled and came back, and, a lot of people trying to go to meetings or not go to meetings, and there's not a lot that, we could do at the council level, I know, because some of the stuff is grandfathered in, and, deals were made years ago with the developers, whatever the case is. But you need to listen to the residents, because we're the ones that live here, we're the ones that have to navigate these roads on a daily basis, just like you have to.
We pay the taxes, the high taxes.
Excuse me. Can we just be respectful? I understand everybody has a low tolerance for patience this evening, but we're really trying to take in everything regardless of, just be respectful of each other.
Well-
I think we're all trying hard.
Listen, I just, I come up here and I just say a few things, and please address the residents tonight if you can on some of these issues, the professionals and the council, because, obviously a lot of people aren't happy, and it's just not good temperature in the town right now. All right?
Thank you. Would anyone else like to come up and address the council this evening? If so, please stand. No one? Good evening. Please state your name and address.
Can't hear you.
I'm in the Jerseyville area.
I'm sorry, could you just speak into the microphone a little?
MJ Seppi, in the Jerseyville area. Can you hear me? Hello?
No.
Okay, there it is. Okay.
One more time, if you would, please.
MJ Seppi, Jerseyville area.
Oh, Jerseyville, yes.
So I do echo everything everyone said tonight. Very loud and clear, I think. If you guys have not heard, there's great disappointment here. We all live here to have a good quality life, to enjoy our families, to go outside and not be afraid of being hit by a car or a truck. The comment about notice and awareness, I agree with you that we won't, some people may not do anything until it's in their backyard, but you know what? If you don't know it's in your backyard, if you don't know about it, how can you do anything about it? Now, the notice to public is typically how many fonts in an Asbury Press paper? the smallest font possible. Nobody would ever see public notice of any of these applications unless they're actually looking for it. But how do you know that applications are actually out there? Nobody knows. I'd love to see when a letter, now the letter to people who are 200 feet, that may happen, but in a case like this where it's an industrial-sized building that is going to have such a huge impact, it should go, a letter should go to the area that it's, like, if it's a 2-mile radius, then everybody in that 2-mile radius should know. Or there should be something on the Howell website. I know there's a transparency, and that's, great that the town does that. But there's no transparency with any of these applications. Nobody knows about them. It's a shame that it happened under the radar. So I ask that no applications for any of these industrial-sized developments be seen until proper notice is provided. And proper notice is not a small little 2-font blurb in Asbury Press that nobody sees. I'd also like to make a note of the land use elements. They were changed in 2019, and they started changing a whole lot after that period. Surprisingly, to favor a lot of these industrial-sized warehouses so that no variances are really required. I think that's kind of interesting. And I'd ask the zoning board or whoever handles all of the changes in zoning, I'd be very curious to know what prompts some of those changes, because like somebody else said earlier, it changes back and forth, and what exactly is prompting some of these changes? I'd be very interested to know what prompts the change. There's also a comment about noise, air, and sound studies. I don't think any of those have been done at all for any of these, whether it's the one in North Howell or anywhere else. That should be part of any application.
You have 1
with the
minute
size-
remaining.
With the size of these developments. And then I ask the town council to reconsider what you want this town to be. Do you want it to be industrial and maybe South Newark? Based on some of the other comments on trucks, all the trucks and that will be around. So do we want to be known as South Newark, an industrial city? Or do we want it to be preserved with what so many people have come here, that it drew many people to open land, farm, rural and residential areas? And I guess the last question I would have is, what do you want your legacy to be? Do you want to be known for the one that brought
Thank you. Your time has ended.
square
Thank you.
feet of warehouses?
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would wish to speak this evening? Anyone at all? Hello?
Nicole Woolley, 223 Victory Road. I wasn't planning on speaking, I'll make it short. I agree with all of the residents, probably times 10, about the safety, the wildlife, everything. I don't want to repeat everything that was said. I just want to bring home the point that a lot of people were talking about their quality of life on Fairfield Road affected. Don't let Victory Road have their quality of life, their property values, their livelihoods destroyed, and then have to come back here crying. Stop it before it happens. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak this evening? Anyone? If I'm seeing none, I will take a motion to close the public session this evening.
Motion to close public.
Second, please.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm going to ask the professionals to respond to some of the things. I know they've been jotting things down. I would remind you that, I think it was after the third person spoke, I did ask the professionals, if they were going to speak to you this evening, and they did say yes. So hopefully they can clear up a lot of misinformation that I've heard tonight, and everyone will understand how the process works, hopefully. And I do understand your concerns. I've been here all my life. So I have seen an enormous amount of change in this town as well. However, change happens everywhere you are. And I do understand your concerns. So I didn't shout at you, so please don't shout at me. I will ask the manager and our code enforcement to share information, hopefully to answer questions, and to enlighten everyone as to what has happened and what is happening.
Before Matt and Joe talk, I just want to say something. A lot of people spoke tonight, asked a lot of questions. I know that they've been busy jotting them down. I've been jotting them down, and I know you've been jotting them down. And we're going to make sure that they get answered. Also, traditionally in these meetings, after we finish this portion and we get to the ordinances, everybody leaves. Please don't do that tonight, because at the end of the meeting, according to our procedure, we're going to talk. All right? And I want you to hear what I have to say. So please stay till the end of the meeting. Okay.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Clark, would you please share your thoughts?
So I'm going to take a stab at most and all of the questions. I left my card here. If I leave anything out, it's not intentional. Call me, email me. I'm here 8:30 to 4:30. I'm here to answer questions. I'll be happy to sit down with you and talk about anything else that I don't address or that maybe you don't understand.
And I'll just jump in and say the same for me. We obviously have office hours. Make an appointment, come in, talk to us, email us, call us. We're available almost 24/7.
So just to address the overall, a little bit of the history, in 2019, we did a master plan update. It was mostly small ordinance changes that needed to be done, just kind of almost clean up the ordinance stuff. There were some recommendations for zone changes. At that time, 2019, warehousing was not what it is. Over the next 6 months, we know COVID happened in the early spring of 2020, and it came fast. We definitely tried to get ahead of it and weren't very successful, I'll be honest. There's a lot of warehouses that are grandfathered in, and that's because we did the process right. We didn't come in and pass an ordinance that would get overturned and leave us where we started. In May of 2020, we started the master plan update process. And that is the process to change zoning. If you go in and say, I'm just going to change residential to commercial, whatever it is, it's not going to hold up. We're going to end up back where we started. So the idea is that if you do it right, you can actually get to a point where it's going to stay. If you cut corners and do it wrong, it's like you didn't do it at all. This governing body in 2022 passed ordinances, different members on the governing body passed several ordinances. Master plan update was done. We did a circulation element study as well. Circulation element backed up the fact that our roads are busy. It's not feasible for us to start to build out all of our roads to the traffic on them. We have to look at our zoning. We have to make sure that variances that are granted for uses are consistent with what our roads can handle, which is not much. So not looking at higher intensity uses, making sure that if there's applications that come in front for a variance, which is different than a permitted use, that due consideration is made for what the roads can handle and where uses should be cited. The zoning changed in 2022, and we made warehousing distribution centers a conditional use. It comes up third time now at a meeting about building coverage standards. Again, we can pass an ordinance for the SCD zones that limits maximum building coverage. You take a mallet to the ordinance. Shards go everywhere, right? There's impacts that you don't expect. There's conforming uses that are now non-conforming. There's businesses that have nothing to do with warehousing that now have to go for lengthy board processes. It's not business friendly. It's not good for the town. And overall, businesses could leave. Like I said, it's not good for the town. instead of using a mallet to the ordinance, we took a scalpel, and we said, we're going to make the warehousing and the distribution a conditional use, and we put a building coverage standard in. Not only that, we said it's not a building coverage standard for your giant lot. If you have wetlands in the back and 10 acres get carved off, it's a building coverage standard for the developable portion left, not even the entire lot. So we do have building coverage standards. They are already working. We have applications where developers come talk to the engineering group, myself, and start to kick around ideas, and they trigger so many variances that we've had one warehouse application pick up and leave so far. So we do have the standards already in place. What we're dealing with on Fairfield Road, Howell Road, are the applications that came in before the zoning change. To do it right, we had to do the studies. Everybody wanted a circulation element study. They wanted the roads looked at. It took time. We did that. Anything that comes in after it has to follow the new ordinances. Any type of warehousing projects in the future are focused around the Route 33 corridor, and again, they have building coverage standards. We think the ordinance is structured in a way that limits overall size. If the governing body wants us to look further into maybe more reductions in size, anything like that, we're open to that. That's a little bit of the history, but the applications that we're talking about are grandfathered into the previous zoning. Again, before 2020, the Monmouth Commerce application was submitted. That was the big warehouse, of course. This market trend, this market change that occurred seemingly at the flip of a coin, it happened very quickly. Those applications knew ordinance changes were coming, and they came in quickly. And they all came in with a matter of 6 to 9 months. So that's what we're dealing with, of trying to work through those applications. In terms of the technical questions being asked, we hear you about the traffic, the noise, the environmental impacts. This governing body doesn't address those issues specifically. The planning board does, or the zoning board when it's up for an application, and they have to go through those details in excruciating detail. So I invite you to go to the meetings and ask questions. There's a public comment period at every application. We can't approve an application without public comment. So I invite you to go to the planning board and the zoning board to ask those questions and listen to the testimony given and challenge the testimony. You have every right to ask tough questions. All the tough questions you asked us, you have every right to ask to the developer as well. I'm going to go through, again, I'm going to bounce around a little bit. I'm talking about early on the saturation point in North Howell. Again, dealing with the older ordinances. These are the grandfathered projects, and the new projects that have come to us are generally not conforming. You're going to see if somebody wants to build warehouses for the most part on new projects under the new ordinance, you're going to see use variances. Those use variances are much more difficult to get. They take a lot more work by the developer, and even then, they're not always approved. There was a question about, I'm going to go for a while, so I'm sorry. There was a question about a farm property on Fairfield Road. I believe that's the one on the west side of the road, south of Bennett Road, that is zoned ARE, so it is not zoned for warehousing. Stormwater impact on Fairfield Road was a question. The warehouse that is under construction now has plans in to fix the issue of the stormwater ponding there. The roadway is going to be improved. I know anybody on Fairfield Road says the roadway is awful. The sewer line is in place, and the entire roadway from Adelphia Road to Route 33 will be paved in the future. So that is going to be an improvement, and that drainage issue will be removed. In terms of overall stormwater impact from all of these projects, they are evaluated based on state law, site by site. There's strict guidelines. The site's drainage has to stay on the site, has to be treated, has to have water quality standards. All those things are checked through the review process. You are free to answer questions. It's probably one of the more thorough review points of any site plan application. Question about the zoning on Victory Road and why it remains SED. Again, when we're doing zoning changes, we have to take a look at what's existing. If we want to change the zoning completely and if we create the majority of the zone as a non-conforming use, it's potentially can be overturned. It's not good planning because non-conforming uses aren't necessarily what you want to do. You want to have where your industries are, you want to keep the zoning there and modify it, if you can, slightly to change scale in this case. So in that zone, we have a large warehouse already, we have some mechanic shops, we have woodworking business, the New Jersey Natural Gas Plant, a concrete plant. That all went into the decision on the zoning on Victory Road at the time of the master plan. There was a solar project proposed on the site, and it was unexpected that that was denied, and essentially a warehouse proposed in its place. The building impervious coverage standards, I addressed, again, the new ordinance addresses that. It keeps coming up. It is definitely already reducing the size of projects that we're seeing. Who decides the tenants? I am also the land use officer in town, so based on the resolutions of approval from these warehouses, there's a list. I've read through 3 of them today. They're 25 to 45 pages long. They have all the conditions in. I review those. When a tenant comes in, they let me know what their proposed business is. I do my research. If it's consistent with the approvals, they're allowed to occupy the space. If it's not, they're not. So that is my duty as the land use officer. There's already been discussions between myself and the manager and the chief of police about looking into 24/7 operation. There are overreaching laws. We can't shut down traffic on roadways, just completely. Interstate commerce laws, there's some overreaching items that we can't just do a blanket thing. But we will look at 24/7 operation and see if we can reduce nighttime operations and see what impact that has on existing approvals. Why do the sites have to be built? I understand that there's questions as to, why now, or why build at all? Properties have owners. Within the zoning, developers or homeowners can build what they're allowed to build. We can't, short of buying the property ourselves, we can't say you're not allowed to build. I have more. So developers or property owners can sell their land to developers as well, and that's mostly what's happening. Question about the farmland preservation, comprehensive farmland preservation plan. I did bring that up earlier. Howell partners with the state and county to preserve farmland where we can. Farmland's valuable. It's even more valuable these days. If we're ever going to compete with a developer to buy a property that maybe is being eyed for a warehouse, we're going to have to spend at least what is in our open space fund, if not double or triple. So our only hope is to explore grants with the state and county where we can chip in a portion and hopefully take development rights away. Farmland preservation, the plan is on the website. If you have any questions, I will be happy to supply it to you. It's in draft form. I'll still take public comment if you have any changes. It takes two to play. So the owner has to want to preserve. A lot of times the owner, preservation and the purchase of development rights by the town, state, or county gives them a nice check, but it's not what a developer might be offering. If we take 25 acres and they get $1 million check, but a developer's offering $4 million for the land, there's not much we can do. If we were to purchase the farms at $4 or $5 million a clip, we would need 6 years to build that up in our open space fund to do one. So we do have a list of target farms. We do look to partner with the owners to try and preserve them, but there's not always a flavor from the owner to preserve at the time.
Matt, I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
The 3 of us attended a webinar put on by the State Office of Planning of Advocacy, which talked about warehousing, and they explained a lot of things to us. Are you comfortable now that we've changed our zoning to tighten it up to eliminate this happening in the future?
To having a dozen applications submitted in short time, yes.
Yeah.
And they can. Anybody can submit an application for anything. You just need a use variance, potentially. Those are difficult to come by.
Somebody asked a question about money. Where does the money go, and what money do we get when somebody comes to us with a project?
In terms of application fees?
Yeah, because that's really all we get.
So application fees go to the cost of presenting the application and doing the administrative work. It covers our costs. Escrow goes to board professionals to review the application, but application fees are to cover our costs for managing the application.
Okay. In regards to the road, are we working on anything right now?
We're looking at
our master traffic plan.
We're looking at, like I said, 24/7 operations, see if that's something that we can limit. We're also looking at truck routes. There is a legal precedent to have the township pass an ordinance that allows for truck routes. So it's a little bit of the reverse of weight restriction. It's saying that you can place truck traffic on these roads as opposed to trying to limit each individual road. It takes a lot of planning and work and studies that have to be approved by the state and county, because we have county roads and the state ultimately has to approve it. And it is based on accident history, traffic data, and things that will require a formal technical study and evaluation, where some of our roads still might not classify, believe it or not.
And I'll just jump in and go over this a little bit more as well, because I spoke about it at length at one point. So with truck routes, interstate commerce, right, that's a federal concern. So we can't regulate and we can't place an undue burden on interstate commerce. And that's why the state requires so much in-depth information from us. It's to prevent towns from coming in and just arbitrarily planting a flag in it and saying, we don't want trucks on our roads. Because guess what? Nobody wants trucks on their roads. So we have to be able to prove to the Department of Transportation and to the commissioner who signs off on it ultimately that our request for these truck routes is supported by evidence, so that way when or if somebody goes into court and challenges it, they can say, no, it is not an undue burden. This is the information provided by the township. It costs money and it takes a long time, but we're going to do it. Just for that reason, because we want to be able to, when we put these restrictions on these roads, we want them to be able to hold up in court.
Just piggybacking on that, without getting too complicated, I see some people out here that I've sat and spoke with, and I've tried to explain this part about the MLUL. And really, according to the MLUL and the law, what we are allowed to challenge as far as traffic goes, because this comes up all the time. Anytime anybody brings up off-site traffic, the MLUL comes up. So would you explain?
Yeah, so right now, with the applications that were submitted under the previous zoning, they're all permitted uses. We are not allowed to look at off-track impacts or improvements. We're working with our own internally as to, the state passed us a planning guidance document about warehousing. And here's a perfect example. The state of New Jersey passes a guidance document. No teeth, no law, no legal change, no additional power to the township to zone, no additional power to the township to do anything. But in there, they talk about everything that you're talking about, the impacts, the traffic, regional impacts, projects near township borders and working together. And we have started working with the towns around us. But the MLUL right now says we can't even look at off-track improvements.
In order for us to change that, we would have to do what? We'd be in court.
Yeah, I mean,
we'd be
realistically,
three levels of court.
there's no mechanism for us to do that.
It'd be the Supreme Court.
By rezoning what we've done and having applications come to the zoning board, those things can be taken into account.
Yeah, if we want real teeth at a state level, it's the state legislature that does it. You know, the state planning document is a great guidance piece, but that's all it is. It's a guidance piece. So we can't go into court and cite to it and say, oh yeah, we're on firm legal ground. We have to go in and convince a judge that, yeah, this aspirational document serves to inform our decisions and it's a suitable basis for doing what we did. And no, it's not arbitrary, and no, it's not capricious, even though we don't really have anything more than this piece of paper saying we're doing right. So it takes a lot to really stand up to that challenge. And let's not forget, like Matt said, our refresh rate on our open space fund is not sufficient to withstand challenges from a well-funded developer. They're able to spend $1 million before we even get out of bed. So, you know, this thought that we can sit there and fight everything that comes down the pike is a fool's errand. We have to pick and choose our battles very carefully, and we have to groom cases so that when we go to court, we know that we're going to try and make law on it because it's going to cost us a lot of money. And so we're very, very careful with what we do and how.
We just went through this.
Yes.
We just went through this. We took a stand. We thought we had a good case, and what happened? We lost.
Right.
And when we lost, the developer can now go back to the original plan and lucky enough, we got through leverage to get him to agree to the new plan.
Right, and, just another example, we arbitrarily denied a developer something a couple years ago. We got sued by them and we had to pay their attorney's fees on top of it. So we have to be very careful with what we do. We're stewards of the taxpayers' money. They pay us money in trust and with faith, and it's very difficult to, we can't just throw it away.
I know there are people that want us to deny everything.
Yeah.
It would cost millions.
Well, I think
Millions
one
in
of
legal fees.
the gentlemen that came up and spoke about the history of some of the Fairfield Road is a perfect example. Things can get opposed, things can get denied, something's always waiting in the wings. It might be 5, 10 years down the road, and in this case, what's waiting is warehouses, and that land is ripe for that development, and that's what's come in. Maybe something that was proposed previously would have been more desirable now, not at the time, but now. It's something that, has to be considered, because the opposition to oppose and to keep it preserved, unless somebody purchases the land, the township or private owner that wants it preserved, it might not stay that way. A couple more items just in the questions. Going back to the farmland preservation plan, I believe the gentleman who was asking said he was up in the 5 Points Road area. We just preserved with the county and the state the Linney property. That is the property when you're driving north on Howell Road over 33, and you go past Wawa on your right, it's the farm on the left. It backs up to Peter Foreman Drive, and the house is on Peter Foreman Drive. It's a perfect example of when there's an owner willing, we work with the county and state, we get it preserved. It's a perfect example of right in the backyard. It actually has 5 Points Road frontage, and it's not going to be a warehouse forever because it's preserved. Question came up about the public notice, 200 feet not enough. All of our agendas, per the MLUL and per the board's direction, are posted 10 days in advance of a meeting. They are on the website. We can't favor one specific type of application to notice expansively, to say, well, we're going to put a big thing that goes to everybody's cell phone in town for warehouses only. It is a form of discrimination, and it is a form of unfair treatment. So if we did it with every application, it would be an overburden on every taxpayer who has signed up for those alerts. So the website, there's 2 planning board meetings, there's 2 zoning board meetings a night. On our website, if you have questions, I will gladly answer them as to how you can navigate the website and get to those agendas. And on there, all the links, all the documents that are submitted to the board, the site plans, the development application, that lists the size of the site and what's proposed. So that is on the meetings, agendas, and minutes website. If we try, in the past, perfect example of not doing things right, Howell passed an ordinance that said, instead of 200 feet, we're going to do, the mailer for your development applications. The rule is, if you don't know, if you live within 200 feet and they're going to the planning or zoning board, you get a mailer. You get it certified mail that there's a notice that there's a hearing. Decades ago, somebody said, let's do 500 feet. Guess what? Overturn in court. MLUL says 200 feet. We can't go more than that, so we couldn't do that. Somebody had said that the land use element changes in 2019 or since 2019 are favoring warehouses. Respectfully, I just disagree. I described some of the changes. We defined fulfillment centers, and we specifically didn't put them in a zone. So now we have a definition for something, and what that means is it's banned outright. So if Amazon wants to come, or somebody, and I get the request as a zoning officer now, little operation, but I'm going to take pallets of shampoo and I'm going to break them down, and one by one they're going to go out by UPS and FedEx, and they all get denied because that is e-commerce and fulfillment. So those changes are already in place. In terms of...
Just for people who might not know, MLUL stands for Municipal Land Use Law. It's a body of law that sort of explains how planning and zoning boards work and what municipalities can and can't do.
And I think my final point, I know in terms of people saying that they're not being heard, I mean, we're hearing you, and I think I could speak for the governing body when I say we're all hearing you. The planning board does as well. Unfortunately, public comment is a piece of the puzzle. It's not the entire piece. So 20, 50, 100 people come out in opposition to something. There is still case law. There are still rules. There is the municipal land use law that has to be followed. It's not always going to say, well, 20 people came out, you have to deny it now. But it is a piece of the puzzle. I don't want to discourage you from coming out. I want to make sure that your comments are heard and at the board. One final note on the sewer resolutions. There is absolutely no precedent to table these or deny these resolutions. If there is a site right now on septic And in the past, sewer's been brought, the septic fails, and they want to connect to sewer. They get tentative final sewer approval from the utility director, engineering department. They get they get this resolution put on. They might not need a planning board approval. This one is getting a planning board approval. Most times we're seeing planning board approval followed up by the sewer approval. They are not tied to one another. They have their approval for the planning board. The sewer is the outside agency approval. One is not contingent on, the planning board approval is not tied to the sewer resolutions. There is absolutely no reason not to pass those resolutions tonight.
Joe, taxes. You gave your tax presentation at the last meeting, and it was quite specific to 3 areas where our taxes are going up that we have no control over.
Oh, sure, absolutely. It's state health benefits. We got hit with an extra $700,000 this year, $240,000 of which will be paid by our employees, $460,000 of which will be paid by the town. Pension increase, again, at the state level, and we had our insurance premiums increase. There's a number of others. I mean, I can go back through the budget presentation, but in terms of, expenditures here, I know it's fun to throw rocks and it's, these sinister motives on our part, but we're saddled with the same things that everybody else is at home, and when we get an unexpected increase in state health benefits of that magnitude, it floored us. And so, of course, like I said, Mr. Palazzo and I, we found out about it not even a year ago now, out of the blue. And so, we did the best we could absorbing it.
And we have all of our negotiated contracts.
Yeah, of course. I mean, absolutely. So we have the PBA contract, TWU contract, our Teamsters contracts. So sure, I mean, do we want to breach those contracts? Absolutely not. So those are agreed upon, raises that were given to these people in good faith in which they rely upon. So even if we didn't want to pay them, we would have no chance in court again. So.
No, I have one question. Caitlin, the 45-day thing. Okay, we talked about that. You want to explain it?
So the 45-day issue that keeps being brought up is in regards to a statute of limitations for people to file a prerogative writ action. Prerogative writ action is essentially anyone who is challenging a governmental decision. So that means that if anyone decides to challenge a planning board application decision, they have 45 days from the time that the resolution is done and noticed to bring an action in court. It's a statutory defense. So, people can sue on day 105 if they wanted to. First thing somebody would say is, oh, you only have 45 days to file. But the issue is people keep bringing up this 45-day time limit regarding the planning board application and the tentative sewer approval. They're not tied to each other. So we can move forward, and there is nothing preventing us legally, and we should move forward in this ministerial act to approve the sanitary sewer approval because it's been vetted and reviewed by our professionals, by Bill Nunziato, by Justin Yost, our township engineer, our township utilities director. If somebody comes along and files a prerogative writ action regarding the planning board application, the approvals regarding the sewer authority that they're going to go out and get from an outside agency, that's at their own risk. So they can move forward with that, they can stop that, but it'll ultimately mean nothing if the planning board action is overturned. So your decision tonight doesn't have any connection to the planning board's decision before. In fact, there's nothing before the governing body tonight involving warehousing. They are not approving any applications. They don't get any applications for warehousing. That goes in front of our planning board issues for zoning, seeking variances, goes in front of the zoning board. Our governing body appoints the professionals and the council members that sit on the planning and zoning board, but they don't have direct say on how those individuals decide applications.
No, and just to jump in and go over another suggestion that was made about creating a governing body right of appeal from zoning board variance decisions. I was here when we repealed it. That was at my suggestion. I think it would be an absolute unmitigated disaster to reinstate it, and I'll tell you why. Because it does nothing. They can come here and they can appeal to the governing body, and you can say, all right, you wrongly granted that variance denied. Guess what happens then? And take a guess. Zoning board gets sued, township gets sued. Now we're paying twice. It doesn't stop anything. So it's a bad idea, and I would recommend that you not even entertain it again. The system works the way it works, and people still have the right to go into court on a prerogative writ action to challenge it.
Just on that final note too, on what Mr. Clark was saying, that ordinance that was repealed was for variances only. So we're dealing with permitted uses and site plan applications. It's not saying that every warehouse that's getting approved could be denied by the governing body. That's just not the case. It's a different type of approval and appeal.
Yeah, and again, if anybody wants to come in and make an appointment and sitting down and talk with us about the finer points of the law or the MLUL or how all this works, we're more than happy to do that. I mean, we read the Facebook comments now and then, and, it's bad information travels fast, and we're happy to combat it. If you want to sit down and speak with us, please feel free to do that.
Also, in the past, from this dais, I've actually encouraged people to go to the official Howell website for accurate information. When you're on Facebook and you're looking at different sites, you're getting various opinions, or whatever small misinformation or question may initiate a post becomes fact and, becomes embellished, and before it's over, totally the wrong impression or the wrong answer comes to you. And I'm not saying that everything we do you like. I know that that's not the case. However, I urge you to get the correct information with our official website. Every agenda that boards and council has is posted with all of the links that would take you to the information that anybody would see when they make a decision. So as much information as that we can give out is to give you all of the background on applications. And I realize it's kind of like a homework assignment, but that's just the way it works. I mean, I can't come to everybody's door and say, let me go over this application with you coming up on Wednesday. I mean, nor would everyone want to know every application, I'm sure. We're all interested probably in what affects us most. We always have, something that drives us towards an application, pro or against. But I strongly encourage you to go to the website that gives you the information without opinion. It's fact. You may not like the fact, as I said, but there is no opinion lodged into our official website. And again, every official document, every agenda is there. Formats of the meeting have been changed, and purely for the fact that we were trying to keep the meetings running in an orderly, professional manner. When we would, in the past, we would have public come up, speak, and maybe somebody's trying to answer the question, and so I'll use myself. I'm trying to answer somebody's question, and I didn't give them the answer maybe they did that they wanted. So it becomes a little confrontational, and it goes back and forth, and before you know it, all their time is used up, and they really haven't gotten in the information that they were looking for. It's easy to get off track and to start having some conflict. We thought it better to take in all the information, all the questions from the public, let the professionals take it in an orderly fashion and answer as many as they can. Whatever cannot be answered tonight, they have a list. They'll try to have the information for you as quickly as possible. You're welcome to call any professional in this building. You're welcome to reach out to anybody on council. But if you want the accurate information, please go to the town manager and let him field out, your question, your concerns to the appropriate area of town.
Absolutely, please, I can't echo that enough. So a couple things. First, we did change the rules, or we started enforcing the rules, because it is, not everybody is comfortable getting up and speaking in public, and it takes a lot of courage to come up here and address the council and to speak what's on your mind. So we don't want to be disrespectful and use up everybody's time with exchanges. So it gives people their time to speak. And please, if there are questions that you have that come up after the meeting tonight, my email's available on our website. You have Mr. Howard's. Get in touch with us. We're available. We'll answer questions anytime.
There was another question regarding the Title 39 enforcement on a property. That's a request that comes out of the Planning and Zoning Board almost on every application. It's not out of the ordinary. It ultimately allows police power on the private property to look at traffic violations.
It has nothing to do with the streets in front of and around.
Right.
It has to do with the property itself.
And we've had discussions about how that approval, once perfected, we're talking about number of trucks on it now. It's because the approval hasn't been perfected. Once it's done, the conditions come into effect. The driveways are going to be reconstructed. It's going to help ingress and egress. That was part of the benefit of the project. We are looking at, in terms of the truck routes and all of the issues that have been brought up, we are looking at the traffic everywhere, and that area especially, Arnold Boulevard, Lakewood, Allenwood Road, that area of town is part of those looks.
Is there anything else that the professionals would like to add at this point in time?
Please reach out if I left anything out. That's all, please.
Okay, so if everyone would indulge us for a quick 5 minutes before we actually begin our business, our agenda, because we didn't get to that yet. So just want to take a fast break, and then we'll come back and finish the business. Okay, so we stand in recess for 5 minutes.
We're ready to begin.
And continue on with our business at hand. All right, we are now at the consent agenda items. Any need for any of these to be taken separately, council members? Seeing none,
No.
I'll ask for a motion from R23153 to and including R23172A. Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept?
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Fisher.
Yes.
Councilman Gager.
Yes.
Councilman Nadell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell.
Yes.
Thank you. The consent resolutions pass.
Unfinished business, our ordinances. Ordinance 2310,
An ordinance amending Article 2, Domestic Animals, Chapter 57, Fees, subsection 4B, License and Registration Tag of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Howell.
may I have a motion to open to the public?
Motion to open ordinance 23-10 to the public.
Second, please.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Anyone wishing to speak to ordinance 2310, please step forward. Seeing none, motion to close.
Motion to close.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next is ordinance,
Excuse me,
Motion
motion to
to-
adopt.
Motion to adopt
yes, I'm
02310.
sorry. Second, please.
Second?
Roll call?
Councilwoman Fisher.
Yes.
Councilman Gager.
Yes.
Councilman Nadell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell.
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is adopted.
Ordinance 2311.
Capital ordinance providing for the acquisition and installation of sports field lighting at Soldier Memorial Park and appropriating $1,200,000 therefore authorized in and by the Township of Howell and the County of Monmouth, New Jersey.
Motion to open to the public, please.
Motion to open 023-11 to the public.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone wishing from the public to address ordinance 2311, please come forward. Hello.
Hey, good evening, Mark Parisi, 2 Casa Court. Love this project, love the upgrade that you guys are making to Soldier Memorial. Question, what's going on with the bathrooms? I know it's like, it was all part of the whole, it was bathrooms and and the lighting, but they,
As you can see, this is only affecting the lighting this evening, but at this point in time, the bathrooms are on hold.
okay.
We're working on some engineering. There's definitely some hurdles with the connection of the sewer line. We're trying to work between MRSA, maybe Monmouth County Board of Health with sewer, with the septic system. We're taking a look into what's feasible out there. There's actually some major hurdles that we're trying to overcome at the moment, so.
So we're
right now
gonna move
we've
forward the lighting while we try to
separated
figure
out.
out what's going on with the
Yeah,
other.
it's been long enough, the lighting's got to get in, so we're
Okay.
moving that forward. We want that improvement done as soon as possible. Those fields will be able to get a lot more use township-wide, the leagues, recreation, general recreation. We want that project going quick.
Time frame on when you expect it to be done?
The lights, hopefully by the fall.
By the fall?
Yep, working around the league scheduling a little bit, but we're pretty close.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments on ordinance 2311? Hello?
Hello. Quick question. I know we did a plumbing study to see if the 2-inch line would be adequate or was feasible to reuse. How did that work out?
That was for the 8-inch line. It was suitable for use. However, we would need a much heavier water use to utilize it because there wouldn't be enough flushing of the line because it's dead ending into the park. Wouldn't be enough flushing through just the bathroom project. So we decided not to utilize the 8-inch line unless we were doing something like a spray park, which is just not in the plans right now. So right now, that line is being left there. It's still in good shape. It's available for future use potentially.
So we're going to run a new line?
Yeah, 2-inch. That was included in the original budget.
Any other comments on this particular ordinance? Seeing none, may I have a motion to close public?
Motion to close public.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion on the ordinance, please?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt 023-11.
Second, please?
Second?
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Gager?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is adopted.
Our next ordinance, 02312.
An ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Howell, Monmouth County, authorizing the leasing of a portion of the property located at 4567 Route 9 North and at Lake Echo Pavilion in the Township of Howell pursuant to NJSA 40:A:12-14.
Thank you. May I have a motion to open to public?
Motion to open 023-12 to the public.
Second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone in the public wishing to address ordinance 2312, please come forward. Seeing none, a motion to close public?
Motion to close public.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2312?
Move to adopt ordinance 2312?
Second.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Gager?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is adopted.
Next matter of business is an introduction of ordinance 2313. May I have a motion to introduce?
An ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Howell authorizing the purchase of Block 168, Lot 1909, and Block 177, Lot 5.03 in the Township of Howell from the New Jersey Department of Transportation.
Thank you. Motion, please?
Motion to introduce 023-13.
Thank you. Second, please?
Second.
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Gager?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance passes on first reading.
Thank you. Is there any information from council that they'd like to share? If so,
Yeah, I had a question for Mr. Clark. Can we lower the speed limit on Victory Road?
We can, but we need to have our traffic division engage in some studies, of course. So I will contact Chief Starro first thing tomorrow morning, and I will ask him to get the traffic division involved to do exactly that. He may want, certain sections of it delineated, so we can talk in more detail tomorrow about it. But, yeah, we can do stuff, is the short of it.
Thank you.
Anything else, Councilwoman?
Yes, a lot, but it's late, so I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet. We are Howell residents, so it's offensive when people come up here and talk to us like we don't care. We're here because we care. We're not doing it for the money, that's for sure. It's offensive. We care. That's why we're here. We moved here to raise our families here. I've been in Monmouth County most of my life. I remember, like Mrs. Marone said earlier, when Route 9 was one lane. And we used to go to Lakewood. When relatives came from Italy, we would take them to Lakewood from Manalapan. We could have lived in Manalapan. We chose Howell because it was rural. We wanted to raise our kids here. Howell is changing. And whether we like it or not, we're here to fight to try to keep it as rural as possible. But it's changing for people in northern Howell. It's changing for people in southern Howell. It's happening. It's interesting that in our short tenure here, because Mr. Nadell and Mr. Gager and myself, we're new. This is our 4th month. The mayor's been absent. She's missed probably 2 of the most important meetings in our short tenure. The Morrow Road, another big issue we're facing in Howell. And tonight, it's obvious that we all don't want these big warehouses in our town. We also don't want other changes that are happening in our town. So we're trying to preserve as much as we can. I'd love to know where all these people were when our children were kept at home, masked up in school. We're all here because we care about the kids, we care about our town. So I appreciate, and I totally and absolutely, I could speak for Fred and Ian and our deputy mayor, who's been here her entire life. We have professionals that live here, so they're vested in our town. Like the gentleman spoke before, and I said this 2 weeks ago, we could have had a beautiful athletic center on Fairfield. The pitchforks came out, we don't have it, now we're getting a warehouse. We could have had a solar farm, now we're getting a warehouse. I fought Best Buy when Frank's Nursery was being sold. We came, we went to meetings, we asked questions. Thank goodness it ended up not being so bad. We fought when Southern School closed. It was probably one of the best run schools in this town. We had some of the highest scores in this town. We protested, we had signs. Change unfortunately happens. We're here to try to keep it to a minimum and try to preserve the rural character of Howell to the best of our ability. Something else that we learned in our short tenure is that we really have good township employees. They live here, they care about the town just like you do, just like we do. Reach out to them, ask questions. I remember being a resident on that side and saying, we have so many shopping centers that are abandoned, they're empty, why don't we use those first? And the deputy mayor at the time explained to me, it doesn't work that way, right? These buildings have owners and they can do what they wish with that property. Same with homeowners. You can't, everyone has the right as a property owner to do what they want to do with their property. So, again, I was hoping Mr. Ledger would come up to apologize to us tonight, but that didn't happen, but I'm glad he's calmer, so that was good. And to Mr. Morlino, please understand that we do care, and we're all taxpayers. We are taxpayers, and we're trying to do our best in our short tenure. Again, I would challenge the mayor, where is she? She's been here for 7 years, and they ran on stopping the development. Let's ask what they've done. It's not as easy. Excuse me, sir, I let you speak.
A point of order does not come from the floor.
There's,
Mr. Molino.
there's no more public comment.
Work this way.
Sir,
I will say this one more time.
Sir,
One more time,
Sir,
Mr. Morlino,
there is
point of order does not come from the floor.
People don't want to arrest them.
We just addressed you personally.
Okay, put it in here, right? Out of order, please.
Point of order doesn't tell me Robert's rules.
Yeah, you don't know. Okay. I'll send you a book.
This is why we changed the format. So we would not have a 3-ring circus that we had here in the past.
It's been working. The mayor actually likes it too, so we're going to keep it that way. And I want to thank every resident that came out tonight. I encourage them to keep being involved with their town and their children. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman, who would like to go first?
I'm not going to say that much. I just wanted to echo her thoughts. My wife and I have been here almost 26 years. A year ago, I sat out there, just like you, and came to meetings and even testified and spoke in front of the council and spoke in front of the planning board about my thoughts on projects and what was going on in the town and what I liked and what I didn't like. And if you would have told me I would be here now, I would have told you you were crazy. But we make it our business to sit and try to talk to people. And we get it, okay? Listen, do you think that we don't completely agree with what people said tonight? No, we do. Now, the problem is, what can we do about it? So, we've been here for 4 months, and we're doing a lot. This has turned into not quite a full-time job, but almost one, for my $293 a month that I get paid to do this. But we'll talk to anyone, we'll sit and we'll talk, we'll explain things. I heard a lot of things tonight coming from people who just really didn't understand the process, didn't understand the law. That's why I made sure that I asked the questions of Matt and Joe so that they could explain to people, because they really know it. Listen, we're working. We're behind the scenes. We're trying to do everything we can to make what is happening palatable or to change it. All right? We're not going to fight everything because we're going to cost this town a boatload of money. We've already lost twice in court, right? But our professionals know that if we see something that we feel is valid to challenge, we're going to do it. And those orders come from us. They can sit there and they can talk all they want about what goes on in the town. It's on our shoulders. The buck stops with us. So we make sure that they know what we want. And that's what we try to do. And it's not easy. It's not easy to sit up here and listen to the people coming up here. And some of them have not so nice attitudes. I don't care to be called you people. I don't like that. It's disrespectful. I wouldn't do that to someone. So just understand, we're working as hard as we can. We could take any 4 of you and put you up here. And that's who you got up here. Okay? Just understand that. So, I said my piece.
Councilman Nadell?
Just listening to everyone speak about the warehousing up in North Howell, and you don't realize that the 4 of us sitting up here tonight are just similar to you. We're all parents, some of us grandparents. I moved from the 5 boroughs, like some other people from big cities. We left the cities to come here, and that's what we're trying to preserve. I got 2 small boys at home. They go to the schools here. They play in sports leagues. That's what we want. We want that quality of life that Howell provides, and that's why we came down here. But the mistakes that were made in the past and just those checks and balances to make sure that ordinances were put in place so that we could prevent this overdevelopment going forward, that's the only direction we could look right now. We can't look in the past and point fingers. We have to look forward and how we're going to address these issues going forward. Some of us have only been up here 4 months. We're looking forward as to what we could do for the betterment of this town and to prevent it from deteriorating. On another note about improvement, I've already been in touch with some of the representatives of some of the sports leagues in town. I welcome any of them to reach out to me, see whatever the town could help provide, upkeep and maintenance on the fields, assist you in that way. That's stuff our kids use. Like, it should be the best we could do. So, and again, all our information, our contact information, emails, phone numbers, it's all on the website. You want to talk to us, reach out. That's what we're here for. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman. And I too will say it, that anybody would like my business card with my cell phone on it, you're welcome to have it. 2 of us can meet with any resident or group of residents at a time to talk over issues. 3 of us cannot because there's a sunshine law, and then we would be breaking the law. But I have sat with council members, with different residents, and, they tell us, what they think they know on a project, or they have a question about it, and we give them what we've done with it. Or in my case, I served on planning and zoning in the past, and so sometimes I have information stored up here from something we did 15 years ago. So we try to share the truth, and I can't say it enough. Sometimes the truth isn't always what you want to hear, and I agree. We're growing, and we're growing faster than I would like. We all have the stories when we moved here. I've lived here since I'm 4, so I can't say that all the growth that we've seen makes me personally happy, but when I sit here, that's not my job. My job is to make sure that we're doing the best we can for over 50,000 residents. And what I personally like just doesn't have any room up here. Things are going to change whether we like it or not. So we look at this as we will let things change with the best guidelines that we can put in place. And if there's another way to handle this town, just tell us your suggestion. Because if there's something that we can do better, happy to hear it. But we're always going to obey the law. We're always going to tell you the truth. And I know that's not always popular, at any rate. In terms of a report, I think the biggest thing that's happening is that I'd like to share with everybody, and there were flyers out in the, on chairs. On May 4th, here in this building, this room, it's a Thursday evening, we have National Day of Prayer. And we've had it every year until COVID hit. So I don't know how that strikes people, but I will say I don't think there's any better time, no greater need than now to try to bring communities together, families together, government together, country together. It's a night where people really just become one. And people pray together. And I personally find that appealing and ensuring and hopeful. So if you would like, please come here a little before 7, get a seat. There'll be different religious leaders here to share, some scripture or some mini sermon, if you will. People from the audience are welcome to stand up, talk about how grateful they are, or to ask other people to help pray with them for needs possibly in their family, their children. It's a wonderful feeling, I think, to actually stand shoulder to shoulder with neighbors and realize just how small we are in this world. So I encourage you to come out if you have the opportunity. I don't think you'll be disappointed. And as we finish up, I would like to say our next regular meeting is May 9th. Executive session is 6, regular session is at 7. I hope you all come back and join us, and we'll have another lively debate, I'm sure. Thank you for coming out. I hope that we've been helpful. I hope that some of the information that came to you is enlightening. And again, anything we can do to be, that we can assist in at least in information, please don't hesitate. Be safe going home, and thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.